Hello and welcome to the Paper Escape. This is our first ever virtual craft retreat. My name is Lynn and I have the honor and pleasure of welcoming you to day one of our 2025 holiday retreat. This 4-day retreat was kicked off with a live stream yesterday, and today we're continuing the fun. Over the next 2 days, you're going to see 7 instructors teach some amazing projects celebrating Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Our 4th and final day is a bonus day of fun. This is for all paid ticket holders to enjoy a day of live crafting. You'll get to craft along with me and my co-host Carrie Rhodes during our live workshops, and we'll have a fun live wrap-up party with some of our instructors. Bonus tickets are just $20 and still available for purchase. This retreat is supported by 26 amazing companies and designers who have collectively donated over $10,000 in prizes, swag, and free offers, not to mention some of the incredible promotions and offers, some of which are exclusively available this weekend only. Don't miss out on these incredible offers. From Cards by Kendra, use code TPE2025 to get 50% off your official patron membership when you sign up for a full year. This is valid for new members only and is available between now and October 5th. From Dare to Be Artsy, use code CARDDAY15 and enjoy 15% off your order between now and October 7th. From Whimsy Stamps, use code 20LIN2025 for 20% off of your order between now through October 9th. From Your Paper Insider, use code PAPERESCAPE5 for $5 off your next order. This includes subscription box signups, which is exclusive to us between now and November 1st. From Meg Brighter, use code TPEMEG50 to enjoy 50% off any Coloring with Meg class, available now through November 1st. And finally, from me, use code TPELIN50 to enjoy 50% off any Easy Postage printable between now through November 1st. Give a big thank you to all of our sponsors. Whether you shop their stores or not, please find them on social media and give their posts a like and a comment to let them know you appreciate their sponsorship and support of the Paper Escape. So, here's what we've got planned for this amazing crafty weekend. Day 1, we have 3 classes taught by Walter, Stacy, and Irene. On day 2, we have another 4 classes taught by Kendra, Shalana, Julie, and Meg. If you were lucky enough to get a VIP swag bag ticket before it sold out, bring out those class kits. They were lovingly prepared by our amazing instructors. On each class kit, you'll find a QR code to shop with the instructor. If you didn't get the VIP bundle, don't worry. You can still support our instructors by visiting the Shop With Us link that we'll share in the live chat and the description box of this video. Our instructors have shared their links to the supplies they used and their affiliate links, or my link if they don't have one, to all of our sponsors. Please support our instructors by shopping their links. They might earn a small commission when you make a purchase, and that just helps to support them in all of their creative endeavors. The instructors will be in the live chat during the retreat, and everything is taught in real time so you can craft along. If you have questions, do leave them in the live chat or in the comments if you're watching the replay. Sometimes it's nice to just hang out and chat with our wonderful crafty community and then come back and craft on the replay. You can enjoy this retreat however you like, because the replay will be available for as long as YouTube is available, and you'll actually find it on the new Paper Escape YouTube channel. So do pop on over there and subscribe. Links to that channel will also be in the live chat as well as the description box below. Did I mention we have some incredible prizes we're giving out this weekend? We have so many prizes that we can give them out every single day of this 4-day retreat. We've saved some of the very best prizes for our bonus day. So if you don't already have a paid ticket, you can still get a bonus day ticket for $20. But be sure you grab that ticket before October 5th if you want a chance to be in the live drawing on bonus day. We know that not everybody can attend live though, so don't worry. Every single day, there's going to be some prizes that we give away in a live drawing, and then there's going to be some prizes we give away in a replay raffle. For live drawing prizes, you'll need to type hashtag the paper escape, all one word, into the live chat. You only need to do this the one time. Winners will be randomly chosen from the live chat comments that have that hashtag. For the replay raffle prizes, you'll need to visit the link that's shared in the live chat. Yes, you'll actually need to watch the replay to get the link. Fill out the form to enter the giveaway. All winners will be announced during a live stream on the Paper Escape YouTube channel after the retreat. The best way to get notified when that live stream goes live is to subscribe to the Paper Escape on YouTube and click on the notification bell so you get alerts when new videos and live streams are announced. You only need to enter the live drawing and the replay raffle once per day. Each day is a different set of drawings, so be sure to come back every single day to enter the live drawing and the replay raffle. We also have some really fun games that we've already been playing in the Paper Escape Facebook group. Join us there and share your makes and have some fun with us. We've had some really amazing ATC swaps, and we're playing a bit of Crafty Bingo as well. For folks who are playing along, you also have a chance to win some prizes. Some were donated by our sponsors, and some are Crafty D-Stash bundles from me and our instructors. Alrighty, friends. Get your crafty stash out and let's get ready to craft.
Time to shine at the Paper Escape, where we craft and unwind, where we craft and unwind. It's the Paper Escape. It's where we craft and unwind. Grab your scissors, grab your glue. It's a crafty dream come true. For fun days of laughs and flair, we've got paper magic in the air. Fun folds, foil in color and shine. Tags and boxes that look so fine. From spooky folds to poinsettia art, we're holiday crafting straight from the heart. It's the Paper Escape. Let's create and celebrate. Come and craft the stress away. We've got live streams every day. Cut, fold, glue, and spill the tea. You're invited and it's free. For days of crafts, laughs, and more, it's the Paper Escape. Let your creativity soar.
Hi friends, welcome to the Paper Escape 2025 Holiday Retreat, and specifically welcome to Winter Floral Coloring. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. We have a great project that we'll be working on together. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that you'll also maybe learn a couple of things along the way. My name's Walter Zemrock, and I'll be with you for the next hour or so, going over this project. To let you know a little bit about me, I am a finance professional during the day and a crafter at night. I am on the design teams for Brutus Monroe and Love from Lizzie, Gecko Gals, also for a couple of other stamp companies. So let's start by diving into our kit. So the first thing I want to tell you as we take a look at the contents of the kit is this, I gave you 2 stamped images to use for the class. These images came from a stamp set called Winter Florals that was by a company named Wishbone Stamps. They were around back in 2022 for a short period of time. They went out of business, but I really loved this particular poinsettia with the branches and the pine cone. And so I went ahead and provided you with the 2 stamped images, and we're only going to use one in the class today. However, what I would recommend is if you really like this particular image, why not go ahead and if you have a printer that has a copy function, you could copy a couple more to have in your stash, or if your printer has a scan function, you can go ahead and scan it and then be able to print it out. And that way, if you really like it and you plan on making some additional holiday cards with it, you'll be able to do so. So the other reason why I gave you the 2 is I'm taking you through one design in this particular class, but I'm going to share with you an additional design. And I gave you some other things in the kit for that second design, so we'll go over that together. But you have your stamped images. You have an A2 card base. The red is an A2 red card panel. Now, this is not going to be used in the class today. This is for the additional design, so I gave you a nice panel that you can cut down. I would recommend that it be cut down to take a 1/4 inch off of each side so that this would become 4 inches by 5.25 inches. But we'll go over that when we do that card. So this is a kind of a bonus item that I gave you to go along with the bonus stamped image. This blue card panel we'll be using today, and this is at 4 inches by 5.25 inches. I also gave you a white card panel that is 3.75 inches by 5 inches. And we'll end up creating our card by stacking these together, just like that. Also in the bag, there is a bag with some really fun goodies in here. The gold and green strips are for that alternative design, so I'm going to put those to the side, and you'll see those when we go over that card later. And what's left in here is a bunch of 1/2 inch square tiles that we'll be using in our design today. Now, each one is already cut down. And also I put some double-sided adhesive sheets before I cut them down. So you just have to peel off the back. You're not going to have to glue these down. You're just going to peel off the back and you'll be able to stick them right down onto the paper to form your design. And the last items that are in the bag then, and mine is a piece of ephemera. And this is for the bonus live crafting session with Lynn and Carrie on the last day of the retreat. So this is another little gift from me to you. There's various, they're not all the same. It's various ephemera, but you'll be able to tell because it's a separate, piece of die cut ephemera. So that's what is in the contents of our bag. And again, remember the tip that you can always either copy or scan if you'd like this image. So the design that we are going to be doing today is, I think, a very, very beautiful blue poinsettia. I love blue poinsettias, and I think that it looks fabulous when you put it against a really cool tiled background. And so this is what we'll be using those tiles for. This is the design that I'll be teaching today, but just to show you, you could do just like if you don't want to do the diamond, which I think is really pretty and so easy to do. But if you'd rather just do a straight design, you can go ahead and do that as well. So really, it's up to you. There's so many different ways that you can use these tiles. If you wanted to really be adventurous, you can take one with your scissors, kind of cut it in half this way so that you have two triangles and you could create your own design in the background. But this is the one that I'll be teaching today. So other items that you will need for this class include some blue alcohol markers for coloring. I'm using some Artistry by Altenew, the Glacier Caves alcohol set, because I really love the colors, and it gives us the four shades of blue that we need. If you're not, you might be using something like a tri-blend, and that will be perfect if you have a blue tri-blend marker. Or if you're using Copics or any other brand, pick out the blues that correspond the best together. So you want a darker one like a sapphire, a little bit lighter like a Persian blue, lighter than that, and the Altenew one is Caribbean Sky. And then the last one is Arctic, which is a really pretty light blue. So you'll need some blue alcohol markers. We're also going to need some foam tape. And ultimately, you're going to need a sentiment. If you'd like to put a sentiment on there. I did not pre-stamp a sentiment on your card panel, for the reason that I realize that not everybody celebrates Christmas. And so you may want to use one that says Merry Christmas. Other ones that came in this particular stamp set that are really nice are winter wishes, in case you want something a little bit more general. You could also do a happy holidays. Peace is a wonderful sentiment for this time of the year as well. So those are the sentiments. I'm going to be using Merry Christmas on mine today, but pick out your favorite holiday sentiment, and you'll be using that a little bit later on in the class. So to get started is going to be really, really easy, because all we're doing to start off is putting our card base together. So I'm going to take some double-sided adhesive. If you want to use craft glue, by all means, you can do that. You may want to use a combination of the two, however you would normally go ahead and create your card bases. Go ahead and do what works best for you. I happen to really like the double-sided adhesive. It just glides on really easily. I then, before I stick it down, just make sure that all of that double-sided adhesive is stuck behind the panel. So I just run my fingers around to go ahead and get that stuck behind. I hope that you're all really excited for this holiday retreat. I'll tell you, I think that the projects that all of the instructors have in store are just absolutely fabulous, and I think you're going to have a great time. I'm going to move my tape gun out of the way, and now I'm just going to center this one down on my card base. I'm not somebody that measures, I just eyeball it, and if it looks approximately good, then I'm good, and I just go ahead and stick that down. I really like having the blue panel like this on the card, because it's a different shade of blue, you'll note, than the blue tiles that are in the kit. So that helps kind of tie in the blue as well as with the floral as well. And I like to have just that, that outline of the color, so that it's not just stark white. Although if you like the stark white, you could go ahead and do that. This really does make a really nice, clean and simple design. So if you'd prefer it to be all white, you could do it that way. And what I'm showing you today are they're my suggestions. I encourage you to go ahead and make it your own. If you don't like blue and you want to do it using the red supplies, by all means, go ahead and make it red, color your flower red. Even though I'll be using blue, the same principle of the coloring applies. So you could very easily color it red if you'd like. And it actually, pointing at the flower just also reminded me some other things that you may like to have. I used a silver gel pen on the berries and on the pine cone. And then I used a blue, kind of like an aqua metallic on the branches. If you don't have gel pens or metallic gel pens, you could very easily, I like that kind of aqua because it just goes so well with this. If you wanted it more realistic, you can use a regular green alcohol marker and you could do something very similar. And we'll talk about that as we get to the coloring. But those are some other things you may want to have easily available to go ahead and color those other items. And all of that is written down on your instruction sheet. So I realize that I'm not necessarily saying that in sequence, but it is written down for you. So feel free to refer to that. Before we get into coloring, we're going to do our design with the tiles. So I would just dump all those tiles out. There's one stuck in there. And while this doesn't look like a ton of tiles, you certainly have enough to go ahead and get this project done. And here's the reason why. You don't have to, you have enough to do that straight across, but if you choose not to, you don't have to have tiles where the floral is going to be placed. So you could save some tiles by not putting them all the way across there, and we'll talk about that. Right now, I'm just going to sort these tiles into the different colors just so I have them readily available and easy to find. And I got this idea actually while watching HGTV one night. And, I love the home renovation shows. And I was watching one where they were tiling a backsplash. And I thought that wouldn't it be fun to have a backsplash type of design on a card? And so I got to playing around, and I really enjoyed the design that I'd come up with. So I thought that would be a nice addition to this class, because sure, we could have just colored the floral right on here, put a sentiment, and that would be really pretty. But this just elevates the design into something I think even more amazing. So we're going to start. Now, for the layout, you can do whatever you'd like. I personally like the idea of having 3 of the same color, then 2 of the same, 3 and then 2, and repeating it that way. So that's the approach I'm going to take. I'm then going to cut 2 tiles in half and fill in that little space on the side. You don't have to do that. You could very easily leave those out and that would look really cool. But that's basically what we're going to be doing. So to start, it's all about laying that very first tile, to be quite honest. And all you have to do, is peel off that backing. You may want to use tweezers, or if you're having a hard time with the backing, like a little pick tool. There you go, just to separate that. It comes off pretty easily, but sometimes you get one that's just a little bit more difficult. I'm going to move those out of the way. And so what I am suggesting is that if you're looking at the panel like in thirds, that you're going to skip a third and start on the second third. Or if you think about it as quarters, you'd be kind of doing this in the second quarter, the third quarter, and maybe like a row in the fourth quarter. So we're going to go ahead and just place that first one down. And don't press it completely down until you're happy with the placement. And you can move it around if you want it to be perfectly straight or, But once you have that, you can then press that down. And then we'll move on to the second tile. And we're just going to continue repeating this pattern, going straight across. And then you just line it up point to point. And you can do just 2. If you want just 2 rows, you can do 3. It's really whatever you'd like to do. I think the 3 is nice, so I'm going to do the 3. And again, it's just placing that, lining it, and pressing it down. So we have our 3 silver. Now I'm going to come in and fill in 2 blue. And these are all, I tried to make them as perfect as I could when I was cutting out these tiles, but as you can imagine, cutting out for so many kits, 1/2 inch tiles, there could be some that perhaps are not exactly perfect. I think for the most part, they mostly should be. But if you come across any that aren't perfect, if you find that for some reason a kit happens to be missing some, by all means, please email me. My email address is Walter, WALTER, _ the letter Z as in zebra, _ 74 at yahoo.com. And I'd be happy to get any kind of missing or defective pieces replaced. Just shoot me an email, and I will be happy to do that for you. Because at the end of the day, I really want you to be happy with your experience in this retreat and to really have enjoyed yourself. So we're just going to continue laying these down. There we go. Sometimes you just need to find the right spot. It wants to work, but you just need to get that right spot. And this really does go pretty quickly. Because all you have to do is just line them up, have them touching, and go right across. And you might be doing the opposite of me, and maybe you're doing your blue as the 3 and the silver as the 2. Whatever you'd like. I really do love the way that that the light hits off of these. Oh, I picked silver instead of blue, but that's okay because I can just get that next one laid down. I love the way it looks as the light reflects off of the brushed silver. And then the fact that this blue has just a little bit of sparkle in there. It's a great paper that I really like. And so I think that these work well together. I didn't want to have both being a brushed cardstock because I think that would, that's too similar. You want something to go ahead and set them apart a bit. And I think that this is a card that if you send this to someone, I think they'll be really impressed with it. It's a unique design, and it's just so pretty. I made one when I was on. So I received this particular stamp set because when Wishbone Stamps launched, I applied, and this was actually the first design team that I was ever on. And so I received this set, and I made a similar design at the time for Wishbone Stamps as a project. It's not the same exact that we're doing today, but that was really where I first made this. Now here is where, if you wanted, what you could do, as I said, we still have enough to continue going across, but if you wanted, you could stop here because our floral's going to be about here, and you could start over here on this side. And then see, like, how many you want to go before it meets in the middle. But that's completely up to you. You can do that. You don't have to. The other thing that you can do, since this is going to be hidden in the back, is let's put the silvers in, top and bottom. But then, since it's going to be hidden, you can start to use the blue to fill in where it's going to be behind the floral, because it's not going to be seen, but it continues that design for you. And then you can, use the blues for your next, to go ahead and make sure that you have enough of the tiles overall. Because as you can see, that doesn't get seen. And I realized that I need to fill that in. There we go. I can't believe how quickly this year has flown by for us. It's amazing to me that here we are. As I'm filming this, it is actually Labor Day weekend, and but then by the time we are in our class, it will be October, and it just is so surprising to me that the year has flown by so quickly. As you watch and see, there is a gap there, and that's okay because that's going to be hidden. So there is a method to my madness. Oh, you know what I just realized is I was doing some blue in there. So that's okay. We can definitely make some blue as well. But just make it your own. Lay these down however you would like. And so I'm now going to come over to the end, and I'm going to turn my card this way so that I can line this up approximately. You can use a ruler. You can use just whatever you have available to kind of let you know this is about where you should place that to make sure that it's lined up. And that looks, eyeballing it before I press it all the way down. Oh, that one's a little, maybe I need to turn it a bit more. That one was a little a little oddly shaped, wasn't it? I think it may have just been the way that I had it, though. Nope, that one is a little oddly shaped. So I'm going to just put this one to the side because I may need to trim that a little bit. So see, I had told you that I tried to make them as perfect as I could, but there was a chance that some of them maybe wouldn't be, and that's okay because we can always trim it with scissors to try to make it look a little bit better. So I just want to eyeball that. Make sure it's about right. I think I just need to turn that a bit more. There we go. That looks good. I think that was actually the issue. I don't even think it has to be. I think it was just I didn't have it. No, that one's definitely a little, it's going to work. That'll work just fine. There we go. And really, this is the longest part of the project, which is why we want to get it done up front, because then the coloring goes pretty quickly. And so we'll go ahead and put this next one in. Now, as you'll see, there's going to be a gap there. And that is okay because that's going to be covered by your floral. So that's why I've said a few times now that you don't have to have it exactly perfect behind because it's not going to be seen because we'll be strategic about where we place our floral. Okay, so there's that. Now I definitely want these two filled in. So with blue, so I'm going to go ahead and get the blue in there. And then it will be your choice as to whether or not you would like to fill in these spots here. I like them filled in, so I'm just going to grab my scissors, hold it so that you have your point and your point like a diamond, and just do that cut straight between the 2 points. And then I'm going to do it again so that I have my 2 for the other side. And it's just right like that. Perfect. So take that backing off and let's get one in over here. And if you have to do any trimming, by all means, go ahead and trim. But since they're all approximately the same size, these really should just fit in as needed. It's just getting it aligned. There we go. I'm going to flip it just so I can see it a little bit easier here. Get that one in. Great, there we go. And I'll do the same over here. Just line that up, press it down. And do the same thing. Okay, and since there's only one little blue square left over, I am going to use it and just place one in, even though it's not going to be seen. We're just going to place it in there. And that's not going to be exactly perfect, but again, it doesn't matter. So there we go with placing the tiles. Really pretty easy. I think what makes it even easier is using that double-sided adhesive sheet. So that definitely saved a lot of time because we didn't have to go ahead and do any gluing. So before I move on, I am going to take my sentiment now and decide on where I want to place it. I like it down here, so that's where I'm going to put it. And actually, since I have Merry Christmas on those, I think I'm going to do Happy Holidays on this one. And now we're just going to, there we go, that's going to fit perfect right there. So grab my stamping platform. Now for color, you could stamp it in blue, you could stamp it in black, you can stamp it in silver. I happen to like to keep the theme, like that theme of the metallic silver going. So I am going to use some silver ink, and the one that I am using is, here we go. I really like the Delicata. This is Silvery Shimmer Pigment Ink, and it's made by Tsugineko. It's my favorite. So this is what I'll be using. Just fix that. And what I find is that about 3 stamps, it gets you a really good impression when using the silver ink. Like, that looks good, but I want it a little darker. So I'm going to do it at least one more time. So 2 to 3 times. That looks great. So I'm going to leave it at that. And I will clean off my stamp when we're done. Put that to the side. So we have our sentiment on there. And we can now turn to coloring. And I have my alcohol markers. Let's see, I always keep my silver gel pen handy because that gets used quite a bit. And I'm also going to take, I'm going to be using, this one is, it's like an aqua. It has a little bit of a green tinge to it. And it's called Metallic Pool Blue. That's what I'll be using for my branch. So have that available, as well as a white gel pen. The white gel pen will be used for putting a little bit of like that, the white on the pine cone. So I'm going to start with my silver, but I'm going to get my markers out and ready to go. And so I need my sapphire to be first. Then I need I'm just putting them in order of how I'll be using them. Okay, so starting with the silver, I come in to the berries first. And if you don't have a silver gel pen, you can use like a light gray alcohol marker. You can use a colored pencil if you'd like. You know, you can color it with whatever you'd like. I really do love the look of the silver though. And while I have my silver out, I'm going to color my pine cone. And that is really easy. It doesn't take a lot. You can even, with the gel pen, just dot it in there. But this is all you're doing, is just filling in each individual piece of the pine cone. If you happen to go over a line, don't worry. We can fix that with a detail, a fine-tipped black marker when we're done. And I'll show you how you can do that. You may not even need to, though, because, again, this doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. We need to embrace little, irregularities when we're crafting. Otherwise, we're just putting too much pressure on ourselves, and this is supposed to be fun. Don't stress out. Enjoy the activity. So this, it takes a couple of minutes to go ahead and get this covered, but I think it's worth it. If you want a traditional brown pine cone, your coloring can, you don't have to color each individual. If you're using like a brown alcohol marker, because obviously you can just color and shade however you would like to do that. But I think I personally like the silver and the metallic look on both the pine cone and the branches, just to jazz it up. Be a little different. There are, there's nothing wrong with traditional designs by any means. And if you are favored more traditional designs, then by all means, this is your project. So you can go ahead and do it that way. So see, it doesn't take that long to get that done. There we go. And I think that's so striking and gorgeous. Now, if you did color over a line and you want to kind of come in and correct it, I would just take a fine liner marker, and then all you have to do is just come around that particular with the marker. There. And that will look great. I'm overall very happy with mine, though, so I'm not doing any other corrections like that. And while we're doing it, we may as well finish off the pine cone. And we're just at the top of, you can do every single one, you can do just some. Just go over with the white, just to give it that frosted look that the pine cones you see out there hanging on the trees or on the ground have. And again, it's just, I think the white goes so well with this design, which is really it has such a winter feel to it. And it doesn't take long to do. As you can see, it moves along pretty quickly. Next, before diving into the poinsettia, I am going to do my branches. This is so easy to do. If you are using a gel pen, or even if you're using an alcohol marker, you can just draw that curved line, follow the bow of the branch, and then just come in and add lines like this. That's how easy it is to color this in. you're just getting coverage on there to make that look full. And this combined with the black ink from the stamp just looks fabulous. It's so easy, you can even do it just like this. Back and forth at an angle, coming over those black lines. Look how quick that is. We'll do the same thing again. And you just follow along with those black lines. Perfect. Over here, you're just going to fill in that small amount on the other side. Perfect. And now we have this one over here. So it's the same thing. Let's do that curve. And now you might be thinking ahead and asking, well, how is that going to be cut out? It's so simple. We are going to be fussy cutting. It does not take any time at all. And we'll get into that as soon as the flower is colored. But this is so easy to cut out. Perfect. There we go. So now we can get into our flower. I'm going to start with my darkest shade of blue, and I'm going to use the finer tip point, and I'm just going to trace over each of these black centers to start with that darker blue. This is to kind of get that shading for the center and the veining of the leaves. Some people I know when they're coloring, they like to start with their lighter color. If that's how you like to color, you can go ahead and do that. Just know that I'm doing it with my darker first. So if you're following along and you want to create the same way that I am, you will do the darker first. And once we have that done, I'm going to come in close to around those berries and just color in with that dark blue right around the berries, just in a circular. And then we'll put that dark color to the side. Now we're going to come in with our second darkest, which in my case, I'm using Persian blue. And this time I'm going to use the brush tip of my marker. And all I'm going to do is come in from that bottom and just do some swipes up. You're going to go right over that dark. And for each of these petals, and you can go in any way that you want. And what I mean by that is there's no right or wrong way. You can fill in most of it. You can fill in some of it. It's really whatever you like and however you think that this blue poinsettia should look. As you know, there's no perfect petals. Everything in nature has its own unique look and style. And so make it your own. And all you're doing is just flicking up. Just do those flicks. And as you can see, this moves pretty quickly. And I'm just going to come in on that one and add a little. I'm actually going to color that whole one with that blue because it's kind of in the back there. So we're done with that one. Now we're going to move to our next shade, which is lighter than the second. It's not our very lightest, but it's lighter than that one that we just used. And with this, you're just going to start at that bottom, and now is when you're going to color. You're going to just move over with this, and this is what's going to start the blending of those blues together, and going to add in some lighter shading. And you can just see how that blends it all together so nicely. You don't need a ton of pressure, but just a little bit more than the flicks that we were doing with the previous blue. But just come around and color. And you can see that that really starts to, what you definitely want to do is at that center, you want to come in with that lighter and start to pull that out so that it doesn't look so so dark and just like standalone. That will just blend it all together for you. So as you can see, I mean, it's a lot of people I know can be intimidated by coloring florals, and I learned a ton about coloring florals through the Altenew Educator Certification Program, AECP. I am an Altenew certified educator. I do teach classes for Altenew workshops, and I've also taught in a Altenew Academy course. I taught a segment of the Heartfelt Moments course on masculine birthday cards, and that was a lot of fun. So that's really where I learned the most about coloring florals, is in the Altenew classes. Now for the final one. You want to go with your lightest shade, which in this case is this Arctic, which is really beautiful. And we're going to just come in and do the same thing. And this is just going to blend those together and also lighten up some of the areas of the leaf. So if there's an area that you think looks too dark, come in with your lightest color, and that's going to go ahead and lighten it up for you. But this is really what blends it all together. And you don't want to completely bleach out the other, which is why you're kind of just rubbing it over and glazing each of these petals with this lighter color. You can see how just easy and quick that really comes together. And you might want to spend a little bit more time in that center, but I think that looks really great, really pretty. Now, another thing that you can do to help with that blending, if you want to use one last light color to bring it all together, I am looking for my gray. I would suggest you could take a neutral or a cool gray. And in this case, I'm using the Copic N0, which is neutral gray. And I'm just going to come in and do one last kind of pull. And you can see how that really blends that so well together. And really lightens it up a bit too, which is nice. So this step is optional. You don't have to do this, but I wanted to show you that this is another thing you can do. I generally always do this with my florals to pull it together. Where that one was really dark, I wanted to lighten that one up. And since this is a 0, there's like no, it's so light, as you can see. That looks great. And if you wanted, you can come in one last time with your light blue, but I'm not going to do that. I am really happy with how this looks. So now we can go ahead and fussy cut this out. And I know that some of the, like part of this uncolored one over here comes really close. I apologize for that. I was trying to make sure that I could fit 2 on there. And if you happen to have a an image that isn't complete over here, when you're cutting it out, if you can actually form the rest of that shape and color it in. It's going to look absolutely fine. I find the easiest place to start with cutting this out is right over here with this leaf that is next to the branch on the side of the pine cone, because then once you finish, you know, your last bit of cutting is going to be right there. And all you're going to do now for fussy cutting, I like to come right up close to the line. It's okay if there's a little bit of white that shows up there because we're going to do something to go around that and cover that up. But it's really just hold your paper with a firm, grip. And it's really move the paper, not your scissors so much. I know a lot of people don't like fussy cutting, but it's not that difficult. And if you want to leave, if you're worried about getting too close and you want to leave a white border around, by all means, please do that. I personally prefer to come close to the line, but that's just me. So just move your paper, and now you can see how quickly that goes. And now we're coming up to our branch, and you might be thinking, how am I going to cut that? It's really easy. What I recommend is just move the paper so that it has just a bit of a jagged. So you're cutting out, you're cutting in, you're cutting out, you're cutting in. And not too deep either. These are just little cuts that I'm making. They're not very big. Here is where I would suggest that we get rid of the rest of that image to make it easier. And so all you're going to do is just come in, and it's just the branch that's over there really close. So even if you trim those needles a bit, you're still going to be fine, and it will be very usable. There. Perfect. Looks great. But that gets rid of that excess for you. Don't worry about little white sections like that, because we can come in and correct those. So now it's just doing the same thing. It's just that. I want to make sure that you can see how I'm doing that. So it's just tilt out, a little tilt in. And that just gives it that more natural look of the needles sticking out. They're not all going to be the same length and nature. So even if you cut off some of the stamped black, that is okay, because nothing is exactly symmetrical in the natural form. Now we'll just come in over here and come around that petal. And it's kind of the same for the pine cone, only I think it's easier but it's essentially doing the same thing. It's those little cut in, cut out. Just create a very slight jagged edge. Don't worry if you cut off some of that black line of the pine cone, because we're going to touch it up, and there's an easy way to fix that. But you can see how easy that really is to cut out. And we're almost done. And to finish it off, I'm just going to come up on this other side of that petal and meet up where that branch was. And there we go. Look how easy that was to cut out. Really not difficult at all. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is you can take either a black alcohol marker, or if I don't want to use black, sometimes I'll just go with a very dark gray. So this is a Copic sketch. It's C7, cool gray number 7. I take the side that has my brush on it, and we're just going to take that and come over along. You're not coloring on it, you're just coloring the edge. And since that gray is touching, it's going to fill in there for you. So that is going to fill in that white that might have been left over, and no one will be any wiser. And when it comes to the branches, you're just going to come along on the outs, just run it right over. And that's just going to fill that in and help further define it. And that's where I had said if you cut over the pine cone a line, this is what corrects for it. That's going to just fill that right in for you. I do this pretty much every time I fussy cut. Just to get rid of that white. Now, there we go. For the branches, if you have some little white spots, never fear. We're going to take, whether it was a gel pen or an alcohol marker, just come in and do those little fill-ins right along the edge, and that's going to get rid of those white spots for you. Perfect. That is so pretty. I really, really like that. One last step before we go ahead and attach it to our card, and this is optional. If you have a shimmer pin, now this is one by Nuvo. It's a glitter gloss Nuvo shimmer pin. We can add some shimmer onto the petals of the flower, and I think it's a really nice look. So I'm just going to shake that up and then come in and just, it tells you where to press, so just press. And this is just gonna, well, for number one, what it does is it continues helping with that blending a bit. But two, it adds just a little bit of shimmer. And like it looks like it has just maybe a slight touch of a winter frost on the floral. Just that little bit of sparkle. It's these little details that really sets your projects apart. As you can tell, my pin, which is, this one's almost done, is well loved, and the bristles are kind of pressed all over, but that's okay because it still does the job. Look how pretty that is. So now all we're going to do is grab our double-sided foam tape. I'm using double-sided foam tape because I like the dimension. You don't have to. You could choose to go ahead and glue this down. That would be absolutely fine. But I like the dimension, so I'm going to use the foam tape and just cut it down. I like to have one big piece like that, and then I start to like cut some strips. And with those strips, I'm just going to run them up on those branches. I'm going to cut that down so that it's not going to stick out the sides. There we go. Put that there. And just give that top a trim so it doesn't stick out. You just want there to be enough coverage to be able to hold it all down. Actually, I'm going to flip it because that one's going to need to be cut. And that's the skinnier side. And then for here, we can just have that run right there. There we go. I'm going to move that tape out of the way. And so I had said several times, you know, that you weren't going to see all of the tile work because the flower does cover some of it up. So now is the time where for placement, you look and see where do I need to cover. And it should probably be very similar to what I need to cover. And you can also decide on whether you want it to be placed like this or to be placed like this. I have placed it with the pine cone and the branches going down because that looks more natural to me. And I'm just going to, before I press it down, you can see that looks good. I might just lift it up a tad because that was covering part of my sentiment. There we go. No one knows that there's anything missing back there. No one will ever know. And there is our card. If you want to add any little bits of jewels or crystals or acrylic dots, by all means you can. I really don't think it needs it, but you certainly can add something. You could do 3. If you wanted to, before you had done the tiling, if you wanted to like splatter some blue ink or silver ink onto the panel, you could do that. That's another idea for you. I chose not to do that because I really like just that clean and simple design. But just look how beautiful that flower is. It just glistens due to that glitter glaze, the glaze pen, the shimmer pen that we put on there. It's just so pretty. I really like it. Here's the example I had made for class. Here's the one that, the other one I had made to show the layout of the tiles going across. This one, as you can see, I did a little bit lighter, not as dark, but that's really pretty. Now, why did I give the gold and green strips and the red panel and the extra flower is if you wanted to create a more traditional one. As much as I am so grateful to all of you, I was not going to cut these down into 1/2-inch squares, but you can if you would like to. I also wanted to show that there's a different way that you can use them other than just squares. What I did here is I just cut 2 pieces at an angle. I did one green, one gold, and then did the reverse on this side and have them coming across. And look how pretty that looks. And look at that red. The red is gorgeous. And that's with a green metallic gel pen, and then a gold one for the pine cone. And I did add 3 gold acrylic bubbles onto that particular card. I had stamped it in gold with Happy Holidays. So if you want to use your other things that I gave you, the only thing that you'll have to do is create the A2 card base, and then to cut this white panel, which is going to be 3.75 inches by 5 inches. Your red panel is already provided, but you do have to cut it down. And I would cut that to be 4 inches by 5.25 inches. And then you can see that, it's the same coloring technique, just using different colors. But look, they're just both so, so pretty. So I really hope that you enjoyed this class, and I'm going to be in the chat answering questions. Please, please, please ask me anything you'd like. Also, if you would like to follow me on social media, I would be honored. And you can find me on Facebook as Walter Zimrock. You'll see my picture there, and you'll see that I have cards posted there. Please feel free to add me as a friend. I'd love to be able to follow you and see your work. On Instagram, I am under the name Zimstones, ZEMSTONES by BY Walter. Zimstones is a play on words. My last name is Zimrock, so already Zimstones is a play on that, but it's also a play on the word gemstones. So it's Zimstones by Walter, and there are periods in between Zimstones and by. And then I'm also on YouTube under the same name. Zimstones by Walter is my channel. I'd love to have you follow me there. I post some fun projects. Some of them are card making. Some of them are other types of crafts. And I'm also on TikTok under Zimstones by Walter. And you can also find me by typing in Walter Zimrock. So thanks so much for hanging with me here today. I had an absolute blast making this project with you, and I hope to see you again real soon. Take care.
Grab your scissors, grab your glue. It's a crafty dream come true. For fun days of laughs and flair, we've got paper magic in the air. Fun folds, foil in color and shine. Tags and boxes that look so fine. From spooky folds to poinsettia art, we're holiday
Giveaway time, friends. For a chance to win one of these amazing prizes, just enter into the giveaway raffle. The link will be in the live chat. This is available for replay crew, but there is a deadline, so be sure to enter before the deadline for your chance to win. Winners will be announced on the Paper Escape YouTube channel.
glue and spill the tea. You're invited and it's free. For days of crafts, laughs, and more, it's the Paper Escape. Let your creativity soar. Chat with friends, old and new. Craft along, we're live with you. Classes, workshops, crafty cheer. The best retreat of the whole dang year. It's the Paper Escape. Let's create and celebrate. Stamp and sparkle, learn and play. Inspirations on the way. Ink it, blend it, share your makes. Add your twist and show us your take. Jump on in, it's your time to shine at the Paper Escape, where we craft and unwind. It's the Paper Escape.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Paper Escape 2025 Holiday Retreat. So glad you could join us. We are going to have a lot of fun today making a couple foiled cards without using any machines and no heat. So let's get started. I have two cards here that we are going to be making. This is going to be the main card we're going to work on. So this one we'll be using, both of these will be using items from your kit, and we'll go over the kit here in a minute. The only thing that isn't included in the kit is going to be this piece of paper right here for your sentiment for the second card, because I was going to leave that up to you on how you wanted to do the second card, but we'll get into that in a minute. But otherwise, this is going to be the main card we're going to be using. This one is using an adhesive sheet on a panel, and we've added the foil, and then we've used the die cuts that are included in the kit. And then this one, again, different technique for the back, which we will go over, but then the die cuts that were included in the kit, and then I just used the same sentiment so that we could have them both quick and easy. And so we're going to use the same sentiment here. If you want, you don't have to. You can always add a sentiment after the class is over. I will give you a little bit of time to grab something different, or if you got the instructions beforehand, then you knew to maybe grab a second sentiment, but otherwise using the same sentiment is perfectly fine. So let's pull out the kit. So this is what you would have received if you purchased the package with the kit, or you may have received this kit in one of the bonus bags. So we have a business card here with my socials. So if you ever want to reach out to me, feel free to do that. We have some sequins from a few different colors. You've got some reds, some golds, and some autumn orangish colors. We also have this fun little wax seal. This is the bonus item that everybody's curious about. So this one in my package is a wax seal, and it has an adhesive tab on the back, so you can put that wherever you want, but don't do anything with it yet. You will be needing this on Sunday. And then the rest of the items we have in here. So we have card base, a panel. Okay, so you have a panel, 65-pound cardstock. You have another panel, feels a little bit thicker, and it has probably a shiny surface to it. This is the one that has the double-sided tape on it, so we will be peeling that back at some point. So be sure you have a pokey tool or something to help you with that. Then you have a card base with some goodies inside. So we have, oh, this bugger wants to stick. So we have a skeleton leaf and then the full leaf. So that is the one that's going to be used on here. So you have the skeleton and the full. And we will be ink blending these or adding ink to them, whatever you choose. Then these are going to be used on the second card, or you can use them on the first card. Totally up to you. But these are more along the lines of what was on the second card. I chose to use most of the ones that were already colored. I didn't ink blend on any of them, but some of you might have more plain white ones than you do colored, so I will definitely give you time to color up some of those to match your theme for the second card. But otherwise, those are going to be done separately. Oh, a little straggler. And then, like I said, card base. And then in the second card base, you have all your foils. So these are, and a couple other little surprises. So you will have, let me throw this one in here because I know there was a silver one in there too. So you should have some fall colors. Should have a total of 5. There it is. If you can't find 5, kind of just do like a little rub the two together, because when I cut them, you'll see here they kind of stick together. So you should have 5, all fallish colors, and then the silver one you can use for whatever too. You can throw that in there. So those are all your, now these are what I call toner foils. So let's do a little sidebar in a second, because I want to explain to you the difference between a toner foil and what they call like a hot foil, but we'll get to that in a minute. So toner foils, be careful on the back side not to scratch this or get it anywhere near sticky stuff, okay? Like double-sided tape, anything like that. Keep this. If you want to put it back into one of the card bases, that might be a great idea. We will use it pretty quick in the class, but just want to make sure you keep it safe. And then there's some other little goodies in here that I threw in here that I've had. So these are toner printouts. So they are using a toner printer, a laser printer. So these can be used with the toner foils because you heat these up with this on it, and then the toner will melt when it's under so much heat, and then it becomes sticky, and so then this will stick to it. So I will show you how to actually do these. This whole class is about no heat, no machines, but these little bonus items you can use on your own after the fact, and I'll show you how to use them with using a home iron. So you don't have to have a mink, and I'll go into what a mink is, and or a laminator. So just hang on to those. We won't be using them in the class. They're also like a couple little bonus items. You don't have to wait until Sunday to use these. You can do whatever you want with these. But I will be going over these towards the end and just give you some other ideas on how to use these. Or you can just use them as is. You do not even have to do anything with them. You can ink blend over this, make it a different color, cut it out, fussy cut, whatever you want. That is up to you. But I will show you how to use them with the toner foil if you so choose. So, a couple things about toner foil versus the other foil. I'm going to set this one aside because it just wants to roll up, and I'm just going to let it do its thing. Toner foil, otherwise can also be called textile foil, is what people use in the screen printing business. But the thing with toner foil or textile foil is that it needs some type of adhesive to pull the foil from the carrier sheet. So it does not have anything built into it to be able to just put it on a piece of paper, a piece of cloth, t-shirt, whatever, for you to be able to pull the foil off of the carrier sheet onto whatever surface you're using. So it needs something that is some type of adhesive that will either heat up and become, gooey, melt, and then this will stick to it. That's what toner foil is used for. The other type of foil that I'm sure you guys heard of or are familiar with is, we'll just go with the most common ones, is the foil press, or otherwise called hot foil or heat foil. So these are totally different, mostly used for crafting. You have the foil quill. If you're not familiar with a foil quill, you can Google that. It's basically just like a heat pen. And so same thing, you just apply pressure through the foil and it'll go onto whatever surface you're trying to put it on. Most surfaces. You can use the foil press system, and there's other systems as well that you take a hot foil die, and or you can use the letterpress die, and you're just applying pressure on the die through the foil with heat, and then it heats up the adhesive that's on the back of this foil, and it applies to whatever material you're trying to adhere it to, be it paper or whatever. So the thing you have to keep in mind though is that, so this one says heat transfer, so this is again heat transfer, so it uses just heat, does not need toner. And then you also have like this company where it says hot stamping foil, so that's another different kind of naming for it. These all don't need any adhesive, glue, anything like that. It just needs heat and pressure. So keep these separate because unfortunately they don't all call them the same thing. Like these are the ones that I have used, and H&H only uses textile foils, but they also refer to them as heat foils, but they're not. So make sure you read the description of the foils that you're purchasing to ensure that they do or do not need an adhesive. Same with One Source, that's another company. Again, they only sell textile foils because they pretty much cater to screen printing companies. So if it's textile foil, it's going to be toner foil. Even though it's not using toner as the adhesive in a screen printing company, they use a different type of adhesive, but still that's what they use. So keep these labeled well, because this has nothing on it that says it's toner foil. So make sure you keep your toner foil and your hot foil separate. And here's another one too. This one actually says toner foil, so that's good. So moving on. All right, let us get prepared then for making the first card. However, the second card, the way that I did this background, we are going to use the Zig two-way glue pen. Okay, this needs to dry, so I want to do this back panel first, and then we will move on to this card while this dries. So this is going to be an alternative way of adhering or using toner foil on a card without using machine or heat. So let's prepare for that. So you're going to need the Zig two-way glue. Let's set these aside. Like I said, we're going to shove these into one of our card bases. And we're just going to set everything else to the side. And we're going to get the two-way glue, and then you're going to need a somewhat large, depending on what your strokes, you want your strokes to look like. I used a pretty wide brush for these strokes. If you want something smaller, that's absolutely fine. If you don't want to do the brush strokes this way and you want to do them like zigzag, I don't care. Totally up to you. This is your project. I'm just guiding you along the way. So brush, and then you're going to need the one panel that did not have the double-sided tape on it. So just the one that was this very thin 65-pound, not the shiny one, but the other one. And so now what you're going to do is, and I have the big one. It's the only one that I have that's already activated. So you might, if you have a brand new one, you might have to activate it, which is totally fine, because the way we're going to do this is you're just going to press down. The way you activate it is you press down on the tip and like on a surface until tip is usually white, and you're just going to press down until the glue flows into the tip. We're going to press down so the glue is flowing all over my surface. So you want something, a glass board, a piece of silicone, a mat. You can do a little silicone mat if you want to, so you don't have to clean it up right now. Maybe even a piece of paper, but it'll probably soak through that. So just keep that in mind, but go ahead and get something that you're going to make a little pool of this on the surface. Now, as another thought, you don't have to make a pool of this and use a brush if you don't want to. You can just go ahead and just go all and scribble all over it. Doesn't matter to me. So if you don't want to do the brush method, I like the look of the brush strokes. That's definitely part of this. So whatever look you're going for, that is totally up to you. So we will go ahead and we're just gonna, like I said, we're just gonna make a pool. You might want like a napkin or something to wipe off the head of this when you're done, so it doesn't get all, because it is pretty excessive, you know. But I'm gonna leave that there for now. And then I'm going to just dip my brush on it. It doesn't really go that far. I was kind of surprised at how much it kind of soaked into the paper, I guess. But then I'm just going to go, maybe I got lucky this time. Nope, I think I'm still going to need a little bit more. And you can kind of see where you need a little bit more or not. I maybe have been lucky and got enough on the brush. Yeah, I think I did. That's good coverage. I can see it all on there. So now put this somewhere where you're not going to touch it, flip it off your table, whatever. Okay, because this is we're gonna just let this dry. This is gonna dry to a tacky texture, which is exactly what we want. Okay, set that off behind me. Now I'm going to take a paper towel and clean up my mess, because we don't want this oozing into the cap. Just clean that up. And then this is a water-based solution, so you can definitely then just take a water bottle and clean off your surface. Wipe the brush a little bit. I actually let this dry and then forgot to clean it after my demo, and so it was kind of, you know, a mess, but I used some isopropyl alcohol and just cleaned it up and it came off just fine. So you don't have to worry about cleaning that right now if you don't want to. It will also, if you go clean it with water right now, it'll come right out, but probably would have came out with water too, just taking a little bit longer, or under the sink once it's fully dry, but I didn't have time for that right now. Okay, clean up our mess, get all the glue off. I think we're good to go. Fantastic. Okay, next step. So this one is on hold. This is the one we're going to work on next. So we are going to need, not this just yet, this foil is going to go with that. What we need is, we need our skeleton die cut leaf and the full die cut leaf. So what I used for this one, the colors, I used Catherine Pooler. So for this background, this back one here, I used Cargo. So that's this color. For this one, I used a combination of the Merlot and Terracotta. So I used the Terracotta down first, and then I went around the edges with the Merlot. And we're going to do that here in a minute. I also wanted to show you a couple other variations. So this one is done with some distress oxides. So I used aged mahogany, and then I spritzed it with water to get the distress look. So if that's something. And then I also did, let's see, so this one is surprising. Okay, so this is Rustic Wilderness just by itself. And then this one is Rustic Wilderness with Forest Moss on the outside. So if you have these colors and you want to use them right now, go grab them. Or if you've already picked out colors, awesome. But I'm going to do the same ones that I did on this one. So we're going to go with Cargo on Skeleton. And then the mix of Merlot and Terracotta on this one. I'm going to do this one first because this one is going to get stamped on. And so the sentiment's going to get on it, stamped on it. So we want to have this one sitting and drying a little bit longer than this one needs to. So we're going to start with Terracotta. And I've got my red dye brush. So I'm going to use my blending brush and just lay down the red. Don't really need to focus too much on the outer edges because that's going to get colored over. I do want to focus though on the actual edges though, like this side. So if you're brushing, make sure you go both directions so you get all the outer edges too. I know I said not to focus on the outside, but I guess you do kind of got to focus. I mean, it'll also get it with the other color. But that's, I want to get a little bit more in the middle. Okay, and that is terracotta. And then Merlot on the outer. And so we're just going to do a vignette look. However little or lot you want, doesn't matter to me. It's your creation. And I mean, even if you don't, yeah, it's up to you. Maybe you're not even doing this color, and that's fine too. Come on, let's get that little roof. Blend, blend, blend. Mostly I want this dry, or dry enough, because we're going to be using heat embossing on it. So we want to make sure that the heat emboss does not stick to it. So that one can then set aside. Get your squirt bottle. Clean up your mess, unless you want a little bit of red with your green. And then we're going to get the green. And oh, the other thing too is, sorry, I should have mentioned this beforehand. So, and maybe it won't matter to you. There is an edge on this die cut, as I did use my scan and cut. So if you feel it, like there's an edge on the opposite side. So if the stem is down to the right, to the left, that is the front of the die cut. So if you did it the other side, you may have felt a little bit of an edge. You can definitely do either side. It doesn't matter to me, but I just wanted to let you know that it was intended to be where the stem goes down to the left, because that is what is in the, how they're done in the, on the card. So, and again, if you want them, you know, one to be doing this way and one to go this way, that's fine too. Totally up to you, but the intent was to have it going down to the left. So we're going to put that to the side. Now we're going to do cargo. There's also another way. Let's see. I did, if you press the die cut onto the pad, these are sponge pads, so they're really good for that. Cargo comes out really dark. So let me show you. I did that and I didn't like it. It was a little bit too dark, but here is what it looks like pressed into the pad versus not. So, I mean, it has more striations in it if you don't press it directly into the pad. So I kind of liked it better that way. But that's up to you. You can press it into the pad if you like. Get a little inky. I'm really excited to see all of your creations in the Facebook group after the retreat, or even after this video has been aired. And just seeing all the different variations and everybody's creativity. I'm really looking forward to that. So be sure to post pictures so that everybody can see. So if you want to go a little darker in areas, just go back over it. I like using a blending brush instead of like the daubers, just because it gets into all those little cracks and crevices a little bit easier. So awesome. Okay. So again, clean up your mess. And then while we wait for that to dry, clean up your fingers because you're going to be touching white paper here in a minute. We are going to do the next step, which is going to be the panel for this one. So some things, we'll go ahead and set this aside. Some things that I want to note in doing this. This is double-sided tape. Once you remove once you remove the, peel it off. So be very careful, and you may need a pokey tool because putting your finger on it is going to leave fingerprints, and then you're going to have fingerprints wherever the foil goes because it'll kind of see that. So you might want a pokey tool, but be careful because I found that the pokey tool can also poke a hole through the paper. As you remove the color from the clear carrier sheet, it has a tendency to stick a lot more to the double-sided tape. So this is an old piece. So as you can see, that's clear. So there's no color left. So when you get to this point, attaching to here, it wants to stick very badly. So you're going to want to hold down this somehow and pull it off. Now, the other thing I just thought of that might work, and we'll see. Here, let's give it a whirl. So we're going to, gosh, I can't get the backing off this double-sided tape. So that's step one. And that might take you guys a few, but the other thing is hang on to this because see how already it's sticking to me? Just putting it down. Ugh. So this is the thing. Push, use this. It's still gonna stick, but it won't stick as bad, I guess. I don't know. This is just, it's an experiment. You'll have fun. You'll figure it out. We're not gonna rush through it. So what you want to do then is you are going to take color side up, not this side, and you're going to put it here. Don't put the whole thing down, otherwise you're just going to have all of this color down. Now, if that's what you want, awesome. This one is, not everybody got the exact same ones, but this is like a cloud, orange cloud kind of thing. So this might look great, but we were going to do mixed colors. That's how I got this, is that I laid down this in certain places and then laid down this in certain places. So what I did was I took and I kind of, and you can just crumple this thing up like this, because this is the color that's going to go on here. And so what you're going to do then is you're going to put it down. Oh, let me get my piece and lift. And so see how it's removed those colors. You're seeing orange through it because of the way I was holding it. But so that's how you're going to do it. You can also just go and do this and lift. Totally fine. Again, it's going to show my fingerprint sometimes though. If you do that, see, you can kind of see where my finger was. Not that it matters. So I'm just going to go through, and then when I get to a point, if you put your fingerprint down on here, let's see, you can kind of see it. So I wouldn't recommend putting your fingerprints down. So maybe even use, don't want to do that. Oh, this is good sticky double-sided tape. Pull this up. There we go. Try not to use your fingers. And then we're going to go over here and lay it down. See how how hard it was maybe for me to pull. I don't know if you noticed, but when I got to the clear part on the double-sided tape, it's not pulling anything off of this anymore, so it's really hard to pull, and that's why I recommend using this to hold your paper down. So let's get, and then we'll do one more color there. So I'm going to set that aside, and then I'm going to go in with the next color. Again, color facing you, and then lay down the colors. Ooh, that was no color left. Take that off. Yeah, this works a lot better using the ooh. Okay, that was gold. I think I like it. Okay, next we're going to do the red. You also have silver. Mine's rolled up over there. You can do silver if you want. I've really stuck with just the 3 colors of the red. So far what we've done, the orange, like the coppery color, orangish, the gold, and the red. This one I used for the second card. But I also use leftovers. Now that I remember, I think I used leftovers of all this and then incorporated this too. So, but I probably won't be incorporating this one into this one. Let's set that aside. Again, color towards me. And I'm going to put this down. And as you go over it, obviously it's going to get less tacky because you're covering it up. So it won't be, okay, I lied. Well, it shouldn't be as hard to remove the paper, but also just make sure that when you're laying it down, you're laying it down where there's color. Come on. And I do have a trick for, you're probably wondering, you're like, I have so much white, you know, like it's not full coverage like this one is. Don't worry about it. I got you. So I'm starting to think I actually did use, because I got like some silver in there. So I wonder if I used silver. Actually, I think I know what I can use the silver for. Anything. Okay, so when you've got it to a point where you're like, all right, I like all the colors, and depending on what you want to do, let's see, I used the orange first. Let me see what colors I want to maybe add to. I got a lot of red in there. I think I want more orange. Okay, so for the final step on this, what you can do, because you've kind of touched that those tacky parts, and they're not as tacky as you'd like them probably. So what you can do now is you get the brayer. This was listed in the list of materials. Get a brayer, or even a burnisher, or, you know, a bone folder. You can use this too, because you're going to basically burnish this last piece on to cover up any spots that are not covered. So you can just lay it down, and you can even just use your hands if you want and just pull it up. Ooh, it's going to be hard to possibly. I'm using my nails. So less white, a little bit less white. So I'm going to come here then, and I'm going to burnish. Okay, now I got a lot of orange. So let's do some, I don't know, let's do some silver, I guess. Let's throw the silver in there. See what the silver is going to look like. I'm just going to go over the whole entire thing with the silver, because this should come off. There's no clear spots on here. There's no naked, as I want to call it, naked carrier sheet remaining at the moment. So this should peel off pretty well, pretty easy, and cover any of those spots that don't have. It's better, still being a pain. It's actually kind of hard to see now with the white versus the silver, but you can also tell it's not tacky anymore, or it is. You know, you can kind of go in there where you feel it's still being tacky. I think we're good. And not any one is the same as the other. So yeah, I feel like I've got still white in there. Let's see if I can get some color in there. Don't know. Let me check. No, a little bit. Yep, a little bit. So you just want to keep on going over it until, one, it's to your liking. And if you want to stop at any point and be like, all right, I'm just done, because let's see. Yeah, there's still some spots, but not bad. So now what you can do is, if it's still tacky and you're worried about it being tacky, this is where your friendly little embossing dust, you know, the embossing, the powder you use over the item that you're going to emboss so nothing sticks to it. Get the top off. So this is what's in here. It's just basically a clay. You can go over the whole entire thing with this to remove any of the leftover sticky, because the powder is going to stick to it, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. You can just be done. So now, no more stick. Smooth. Set this aside because you will need it, and I always forget it, so I'm leaving it here. Wipe it off, and there's your panel. Awesome. Okay, keep your brayer close because you will need that again too. Okay, so now we have our panel. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to emboss our panel. So you should have an embossing folder of your preference. The embossing folder I'm using is, let's pull it out. It is called Acorns. So that is what I'm going to use. So I'm going to take this over to my die cut machine, run it through, and I'll be right back. You do the same. Okay, I am back. And we are going to use the whole panel, so keep that in mind. Now, with running it through the embossing folder, it may have made it a little tacky in places, so just make sure it's not. If it is, use your powder again. Mine seems good, so I do have this little line down here from the embossing folder, so I'm just going to make sure that that is at the bottom down here so I can just cut it, trim it up. But otherwise, now we're going to glue this down to the card base. And mine's a little bit off, but again, I'll just trim it up. You can cut it down if you want to mat it and do, you know, a little 1/4 inch around the edges, but I'm going to go ahead and make it a full, just like I did on this one. And then we will trim it down, trim down the whole thing to kind of clean it up. So we're going to get our glue out and again, just make sure that piece is down at the bottom. Put it off to the side so that I can trim off that and that. And then I have a nice big stamping block that I will set on top of it to make sure that stays. Okay, this is trash now. Okay, so I have, the next step is we're going to emboss our sentiment onto the leaf. So grab your leaf and you can grab your other skeleton leaf too. Now you're going to want to figure out how your sentiment fits first off, and then how you're going to angle your leaf. So keep that in mind when you're putting your sentiment on. Before I forget, let's do some dusty, remove our static and stuff on this so that our embossing actually stays where it's supposed to. And you don't necessarily have to go back in with a fine brush, although I have one right here in the ready in case I do. So let's get our embossing powder and our heat gun and our black ink. I like to use VersaFine Clair Nocturne. And then my embossing powder is Wow Embossing Powder, Super Gloss, Super Fine. Super Gloss? Clear Gloss, Super Fine. And then I have my stamping platform ready to go. But I might need to tweak where that's at, so let's figure out the angle of this. I'm going to basically just mirror the angle. I don't know if I can get it to go a little bit more to the side. Okay, let's see. I have a nice little sticky grid in here. And then I have a piece of acetate to keep my ink from getting on the sticky grid. But let me see. Kind of want to see if I can do it this way. And then let's put this down. And it's like perfect. I got lucky. Yeah, that is perfect. Okay. All right, so we're going to lay that down. I'm going to ink it up, press it down a couple times, and then I have my heat gun ready. Off to the side over here, make some room. Okay, so let's get this ready to go as well. So I like to do, I buy this stuff in bulk because I use it the most, but just a tip. I use a spoon, and I have a spoon already in here. It's a metal spoon because a plastic spoon causes static. So to avoid static, we use that. And then I can also use the container to do the embossing powder over, so I don't need a coffee filter. All right, so we're going to ink up. I lost my ink. Ta-da! Okay, we're going to ink up. Like I said, I'm going to go a couple times. And then you're also going to want maybe a pokey tool or something to be able to lift your leaf off of whatever it is, keeping it down. Okay. Pokey tool, lift, embossing powder. Yay, it stayed where it should and isn't where it shouldn't be. Okay, so now I'm going to heat this up. Give it a second. So magical. Love it. Okay, let's get this out of the way before I have an accident. And same with this. This is why I have the acetate in here, so that I can just put that down, close it, set it aside. Okay. Fantastic. This should be dry. So let's take our trimmer and trim this down. Hopefully you don't have as much missing off the side like I do. But do what you gotta do. I like guillotine trimmers because they get down to the itty bitty little skinny stuff. Get that little edge off. Oof. Okay. And you may have a tacky edge now because you've kind of exposed a little bit of that double-sided tape underneath. So again, get your powder out. Just powder that baby down. Just to make sure. And then be sure to wipe it down with a towel or something to get the extra dust off, so your glue is going to stick when you put on your stuff. Okay, so now we're going to put together the card. So you have this one and you have this one. I don't care how you do it. I'm putting it in the back, obviously, because I'm going to mirror the existing card we have. But you can do it however you want. I mean, this is made to go this way. Doesn't really work because you can't see the sentiment, but just know that that's, you know, how they go. But I think I'm going to do a little bit. I want to see that. I didn't realize I covered up like the little stem on here, and I kind of want to see the stem. So we're going to do this one this way and then this one. Okay. So I'm going to get my fine tip glue bottle somewhere. There it is. And we're going to come in here and glue. I'm just going to dot here and there, however you want to do it. So this is where the tweezers come in. You can hang on to it without getting glue all over you. No rhyme or reason other than just to make sure it sticks. And so we're just getting in all the little areas. Okay. So this one's going to get laid down. And then good old block. Now, while we're waiting for that to kind of adhere, let's get out. You should have your sequins. So get these out of the bag. I have a little tray. You can just throw them down on your table. You might have to flick your bag a little to get them all out. You probably won't use them all, but between the two cards, you definitely, you know, can use them. Oh, there's a straggler. Get out. Okay. Then you're going to need a little sequin tool. So get that handy, and then you'll need your glue bottle again. So this should be good by now. So now we're going to glue this one down. So we're gonna just put glue all over the back. And don't forget the little stem. And then just make sure it doesn't have to be, you know, straight. I prefer it to be straight. That's just my preference, but you definitely do not have to lay your sentiment down, your leaf down, so that your sentiment is straight. Could have probably heated that a little bit more. I can see the granules, but you know, unless you're giving it to a crafty person, they won't judge. I kid. Okay. So we've got sequins next, and then we're done with this card. Pretty sure I got enough glue on there. That's going to be okay. So rules of 3 is the thing to do for sequins or any type of embellishments. So if you're going to do 3, that's great. If you're going to do more than 3, then you kind of gotta do 6. But that's just for aesthetics. That's what they say. So I usually just figure out, oops, I dropped it, where I want them to go. So we're going to do 1 there. Let's do 1 over here this time, and then let's do 1 here. So they're all going to be on the leaf this time. So, oops, now I'll pick up. Let's try the bigger end. There we go. No, come on. There it goes. All right, so you can go up there. I usually try and get 3 different colors and 3 different sizes. So I'll go the small one over here. The glue, if you're using crafting glue, it will dry clear, so you don't have to really worry about if it's splooging out underneath from underneath. I need a medium one. And these are stacked. You see how there's like, I don't know, 6 right there? Let's just break those apart. Score. Come on. And I don't know if there's another one. Well, the bottom one will glue, so if there's an extra, it'll pop off eventually. Okay. So there you go. Love it. Nice fall card. Didn't have to use any heat to get that foil on. Awesome. Okay, moving on to the next one. So the next one, you have that panel that is hiding somewhere. So go find it and get it over to your workspace. Yeah, you heard. Probably I had to peel it off of something because something got laid on top of it already. Okay, so we got some nice brush strokes in there. So what we're going to do, I'm going to move this out of the way. You will need the ink again and the sentiment, so hopefully you still have that. If you're going to use the same sentiment, totally up to you. Okay, so in this case, you can do same thing where we can just lay down pieces on this. It's not as tacky as that double-sided tape, but I guess if you've got that piece of paper from the double-sided tape, that might be helpful. But you don't have to worry about it as much with this one because it's just not as tacky. It's not as, you know. So let's see. Let's do some of this. Yeah, definitely not as tacky. So same concept, but you're using a different medium. We used the Zig glue pen, or 2-way glue, or you drew on it. Oh, see, that's why I don't like to do fingerprints sometimes, because that's all you get is a fingerprint then. So somebody can identify me from my crafting, but so just kind of do, instead of just doing a finger press, maybe do a something like that. Okay. And then we're going to go in with another color. It's the orange. I also like just the look of this one. So this is this one. And so I like the look of this background with the white. I do like the white in there. It's a totally different, still fall looking card and still beautiful. It's just got such a different contrast in colors. So I definitely enjoy that look. And the brush strokes are very unique as well. Now, if you wanted to just make this all one color, you're more than welcome to just take a sheet and stick it on there, which you can also still do anyway because it's not full, you know, it's not a full color, a full sheet, I should say. So it's not going to lay down, a whole sheet of color. It's going to lay down little bits and pieces. And you should still have space to go in with another color in the same way, because again, this doesn't have a solid, it's not solid. Nice. Now we're just going to take our brayer and make sure we get all those exposed adhesive. And at whatever point you're like, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore, get out your powder and basically go over it and deactivate any adhesive that remains. And then you can be done. Cool. It's definitely still a little tacky, or so it feels, but I don't think I'm leaving much left on it. Let's get some silver. Let's go over it with the silver for last. Fun. A little bit, not much. I think I've got everything actually. I got some on the back for some reason. There's like, oh, there's glue on the back. That's funny. I can feel it on the back. All right, so that's good. So I'm just gonna powder it. Oof. So that it doesn't feel tacky. I'm gonna get the spot back here too. Okay, that's done. All right, so for this one, I did it matted a little bit. I also embossed it. So let's go emboss it. Away we go. And I'm back. And come on. There we go. Ugh, I love embossing folders. So pretty. Okay, so we're going to trim this down to 4 by 5 1/4. So 5 1/4. And then get the edge that my embossing folder munched, and 4, or maybe less, because I might go just a skosh less because I still have that line. That's not bad. Okay. Okay, now it should be good. Yes. Okay. Get your glue. Glue your panel on. Oof. Okay, get your block. Lay it down. All right, you won't be needing these again, really. I have some ideas if you want, but you can just set those aside, but I have some ideas. And the idea is, hear me out, in your kit, you received those extra, so you have all the little leaves, okay? Let me get them all over here. So you have some that are already colored and you have some that are not. So at this point, I don't need that right now. At this point, then you're going to want to figure out what color, if you're going to use them all. Like I've got 4 here. Well, there's 5 technically. That I could use without ink blending or whatever. And that's what I ended up doing on this one. But you have these here too that you can ink blend to kind of match this, to match what you did here. Totally up to you. Or you could use some two-way glue on the clear ones and then use your foil on them to kind of give them a foil distress look. I'm not going to do that now. I'm just throwing that out there because I'm going to give you time to figure this out and ink blend whatever. I'm going to probably ink blend some just so that we're on the same page. And timing wise, I give you enough time to do that. But that's just a suggestion if you want to try and ink blend, or sorry, use the two-way glue on one of these. You can glue it now and set it aside while you kind of figure out how you're going to arrange your leaves. The other thing you're going to need is this piece of paper, this piece of cardstock right here. Whatever color, it can be white, it can be purple, don't care. You just need something that you're going to stamp your sentiment on. You don't have to do that now if you're not prepared for that. Totally understand. But that was one thing that was an afterthought for me. And I was like, oh, you're going to need something to stamp a sentiment on. So just giving you guys all that right now. And then we will work together though while you're coloring your leaves. You can also use Copic markers or markers in general if you want to. Whatever you want to do. I'm going to ink blend them using the same colors I used on the other card. So go for it. While we're waiting, this should be good to go actually. But yeah, so we can start working on that now. And we're going to do a few minutes of that. I'm going to just ink blend these a couple and then, yeah. Then we'll reconvene and put everything together and stamp. You guys can do that while I'm coloring, or you can wait until I do it on mine. It's totally up to you. So I have the same that I used here. I'll use it again. Okay, so let me let's do nice Merlot leaf. And then I'm going to do another one and I'm going to smoosh it and you're going to see how much color is like. It's so different when you like just press it in there. Come off. That is so dark. Don't do that. Get off. Come on. Flip over. Thank you. It's very juicy. I don't want my card base to get it. There's like so much ink on this. Okay, and then there's like a little piece right here that is like, it's refusing the ink for some reason. I don't know what's happening. We'll just make that work. We will cover it with another piece of a leaf or something. All right, let's do one in cargo. And if you're already done, you know, ink, coloring and all that stuff, then go run and get a drink or just sit back and relax for a minute or two. Well, a minute, because we're going to work on the rest of the stuff here shortly. Okay. So the other thing you're probably going to need, if you want, is if you don't want to glue down the sentiment and you want to pop it up, then get some double-sided foam tape. Get some foam tape so that you can pop that up. Let me clean my hands, because I like to pop it up and then tuck stuff behind it. But the first two big leaves will probably be, I glue those down first and then center the sentiment over it. But you can do this however you like. Okay, so we're gonna do, I'll do it a little bit different this time. Oh, actually, let's do the sentiment. So I have the sentiment, because right now I don't have the sentiment. So let me, and did I just stamp it? Or yeah, I just stamped it. I did not heat emboss it. So if you want to heat emboss it, go for it. I just stamped it. Okay, and this is a textured paper. So let's get this over here. Try and get it a little bit. So I don't have to trim it too much. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so we're going to get in frame. Okay, one more time. I'm like, I think that looks good. Could always look better. Okay, ink away. Oh, I double stamped, but it doesn't look terrible. It just looks bold. So I can live with that. Okay, and then I'm going to cut this down. I like to use my decal trimmer on this one. So we're just gonna go the end of, again, not in frame. Here you go. The edge of the little bar is my guide. The bottom of the letters line up with the, come on, flat, get over, there you go. And then perfect. Okay, double-sided foam tape. Pokey tool, because I can't pick up anything. Okay, back to the card base. Okay, so here's the one. So we're gonna go off to the, this one's gonna go over here. So we will glue those two down. Again, this is however you want to do it. If you want to do what I'm doing, totally fine with that. I'm not sure worried about it. It's not an exact science on this one, so Not like the other one was either, but it's just whatever is aesthetically pleasing to you. Okay, so I think I'm just going to lay it down. Put the sentiment down, and then I'll work around it. And tweezers to help with seeing where it's going. Okay, now I can work on adding some extra little leaves in here. Maybe I'll cut that off a little bit. So we can tuck. Ooh, I like that. Kind of even like it where it's not glued all the way down. I don't know if you saw that. I'm gonna tuck it in, let it just sit there, and then like let it sit up. Yeah, there's a gob of glue back there. I'm not too worried about it. Like I said, it dries clear. But I do want this to set. And then this one will probably sit nice. That'll work. Should we go behind a little bit? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I'll go behind that one. Let go. And then this one. Oh, it's got that little. What the heck happened there? I don't understand. That is so weird. It's going to be a little off balance if I put it over there. Let's see if I can tuck this piece. Is this glued down all the way? Can we tuck this in there? Let's cut that off. I don't mind that. Okay, let's do that. And that'll be my last one, I think. I don't know. I feel like I need something on the other side to balance it a little bit more, but okay, that's that. And then let's see what this one looks like. Sure. I just feel like it needs the balancing act over here. So, oh, good Lord. I must have adhesive or something on these tweezers because they're sticking to everything. Oh, Lordy. Totally sticking to everything. Okay. That's almost done. Now we have sequins. If you want, you don't have to. But I love shiny things, so we're definitely going to be adding sequins. And tulle. Let's see. Okay, we definitely want one on the sentiment itself. I like that. And so we're going to go right here. And just pop that one. I don't like that. I want red. Something that pops. Well, no, let's do gold. Okay, and then this red one. I want to use that one. Come here. And then is that an orange one? Yes, that's an orange one. Okay, so let's do one right here. And then I'll do one down here. Again, rules of 3. Perfect. You need to go back. Get in. Oh, staticky. There we go. Fantastic. Love the little flash of sparkle. Looks awesome. And there you go. You have your 2 cards. Hopefully you kept up and I didn't go too fast, but I really do look forward to seeing what you guys created during the class, and be sure to post them on your social media and also in the retreat Facebook group. Now, I wanted to show you also a couple things. So in your packs, you were given this tag and the sentiment, and I told you before that you can use them just like they are. You can ink blend on them, do whatever you want with them, or you can also foil them if you like. If you have foil left over, that you have like a full sheet, like I have this full sheet still, you can use that on this using a household iron. So what you need is you need a flat surface, and what I used, show you my little setup. I used a nice hard wooden cutting board. I used a silicone mat just to protect the board. And then I did use a piece of parchment paper to start, but I ended up not having to use it, and I prefer not to use it, and I'll explain why. When you are doing, you're going to put your iron on medium to medium high heat. And again, you're going to put color side up and then lay it over the design. And then you're going to put the iron on here, and you will see when you iron it, the design, this will heat up, the toner, the black parts will heat up, and they will stick. And so you will see the design start showing through the foil. So you'll see if it's sticking or not, and you literally just take the tip of the iron and just go over it. You don't need really strong pressure, and you will then let it cool, and then you will peel off this piece, and this will have your nice foil design. I'll show you some results of that. So I have this one here where I use the silver. And so, as I said, you'll start seeing, I could line this up on the thing, and you will see where it just basically sticks and glues itself down to the toner. And then when you peel it off, you've got a beautifully foiled tag. And then here's another one. If you go on too hot, your foil can kind of look a little bit different after the fact. So also, if you go once and you pull it off and you realize you missed a spot and you go over it again, you're going to get this striation kind of look, because going over toner foil twice with heat causes it to get like a matte effect. So you'll see like some of it's really nice and shiny and some of it's matte. So that's what happened with this one. It didn't quite foil all the way or adhere all the way the first go around. So I took it off and then put it back on, realizing it didn't go. And then it kind of got that little look. And then the other thing is, if you ever have sentiments that have been given to you that are toner printed, or if you have a friend who will print toner, you know, print sentiments and stuff for you on a toner printer, a laser printer, you can do stuff like this. So here's, again, this was a little bit higher heat, so it got a little bit weird looking, but it still looks pretty. It just, the foil, it gets a little not clean, seamless look like I showed you the first one. This one's a little bit better. I had a little bit of overfoiling, but that's, you can take off with an eraser. So a sand eraser will take that off. Just gently get it off with a sand eraser, or a white eraser, like one of these, or a sand eraser. A sand eraser is going to take off the shiny too on the, see how the paper's a little bit shiny. So it's going to take off that too. So you just got to figure out which one works best. And then another option I wanted to show you guys for a no heat foiling was the pixie spray. Was an option I was trying. I wasn't exactly thrilled with the results. So what I did was I had a stencil and I sprayed pixie spray through the stencil onto a piece of paper and then let that dry and then foiled it. Well, it didn't come out. If you want a distressed look, this is what you get. So what I did was I laid a piece of foil down, I used my brayer, and it was okay. Not my ideal way of doing it. Another way you can use no heat foil is if you use Decofoil Transfer Gel Duo. Duo is used for two-way use, heat or no heat. So this is really good. There's another one that is called Transfer Gel. This is heat only. So you have to use this through a laminator or a mink with heat. So, and a mink is M-I-N-C. It is specifically used for hot foiling or toner foiling. Sorry, don't want to get you confused. Specifically used for toner foiling, and it's like a upgraded laminator is what it is. It's specifically made for that purpose. It gets to a higher heat. It has more rollers. It has just better results overall than a laminator would give you. But if all you have is a laminator, put that thing on high heat and it'll work just as well as, you know, doing the stuff that we're doing here. So if you want to up your foiling results though, definitely get a mink. But again, this is the whole class so that we don't have to if we don't want to. But that is something you can explore on your own if that's ever something you want to do. But Transfer Gel Duo is really good with, like I said, heat or no heat. And it's a paste. It's kind of like white school glue. But you then put it through a stencil or whatever other idea you can come up with. I just thought of a stencil. And this is what it looks like. So you can see it's shiny and it's a little tacky, but not much at all. So what happens is you put this through with a piece of foil over it through your die cutting machine. And what I ended up doing was I added a emboss and transfer mat. So this rubber mat you use for embossing and transfer for doing die cuts or stencil embossing through your die cutting machine. You use this mat and then it has a special impressions pad that goes with it. So what I ended up doing was I used this. I had the cut plate, I had the piece of paper, I have the foil over it, I have this over it, and then the other cut plate, and I run that through the die cutting machine, excuse me. And the results actually came out really good. This is what it looks like. Now, mind you, I used pixie spray to adhere the stencil to the paper. And so I got a little bit of overspray in there somehow, some way. So you see how there's foil that attached itself in between things. So that is something that could happen. So it's not perfect, but it's definitely an excellent result. It's full coverage. It's not as splotchy as this is. So this is running it through, like I said, you're running it through like that with this over it to give it extra pressure into all the little, you know, nooks and crannies and stuff through your die cutting machine. So some other things you can use is there are pens that are out there. So there's a, let's see, Tattered Lace makes one. It's a toner pen. It's literally toner in liquid form. And then there's Decofoil adhesive pen. So this is just a glue pen. So you can write things, you can dot, you know, do some designs and stuff like that, and then go over with foil. It's just kind of like we did with the two-way glue, except for it's a finer pen, finer marker. That is everything I have to show you guys. I really do hope that you enjoy the class. I hope you learned something new. I hope that you are going to explore more in the foiling fun that is out there. I do lots with the hot foil and the toner foil, so if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and I will answer any questions that I can and help out in any way that I can. So please be sure to post any of your crafty creations out on your social media and or the Facebook group for the retreat. I would love to see them. Tag me at SNR Creations from the Heart, or SR Creations from the Heart is all my social media. And I hope everybody has an excellent time participating in the rest of the classes. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Grab your scissors, grab your glue. It's a crafty dream come true. 4 fun days of laughs and flair. We've got paper magic in the air. Fun folds, foil in color and shine. Tags and boxes that look so fine. From spooky folds to poinsettia art, we're holiday.
Giveaway time, friends. This one is a live drawing, so get those hashtags in the live chat. If you are watching us live, put in the live chat hashtag the paper escape for your chance to win one of these amazing prizes. All winners will be announced on the Paper Escape YouTube channel.
You're invited and it's free. For days of crafts, laughs, and more, it's the Paper Escape. Let your creativity soar. Chat with friends, old and new. Craft along, we're live with you. Classes, workshops, crafty cheer. The best retreat of the whole dang year. It's the Paper Escape. Let's create and celebrate. Stamp and sparkle, learn and play. Inspirations on the way. Ink it, blend it, share your mates. Add your twist and show us your take. Jump on in, it's your time to shine at the Paper Escape, where we craft and unwind. It's the Paper Escape.
Hi, crafty friends. Irene here with Artemis Made, and I am just overjoyed to welcome you back to day 1 of the Paper Escape 2025. I am so happy to be here with you today, and I cannot wait to share with you my Peekaboo treat bag. So first, I just want to say thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm really excited that you're here. And I am sure you just had a blast in Walter's class. How about those poinsettia cards? Weren't those amazing? He's so talented. So I hope you had fun. All right, so this is the treat bag that we're going to be making today. And it's a peekaboo because you can actually have a little window to see inside and see what little goodies are inside the bag. That kind of makes it fun so that your recipient has an idea what is in the bag. Although, of course, you could choose not to do the cutout as well. But in this case, we are coordinating a holiday treat bag, so we have a holiday tree cutout. And of course, there's also a mini card. So before we get into your kit, I did ask you to grab a few things from your craft space. So we have a scoreboard or a trimmer with a scoring attachment. 12 inches is preferable because we've got some wider paper to work with today, but we can always work around it if you have a smaller scoreboard, not a problem. A bone folder, some double-sided adhesive, preferably 1/4 inch would be the best width, a hole punch or a double hole punch, something to that effect, some liquid glue so that when we're making our mini card, you can adhere things together. And then you can also have some foam tape if you choose. Now, there is one thing silly me, I completely forgot to include in your kit. I'm so sorry. But fortunately, it's a very simple supply that most of us have in our craft spaces. And that is just a piece of white cardstock or just light colored cardstock that you can write on for the inside of your card. I do apologize. I just had a dodo moment and completely forgot to include it. So the white cardstock piece would be 2 3/4 inches by 2.5 inches. Very simple, pretty small. It just goes inside of our card. So if you could grab that as well, these are the things that we need from your craft space. Okay, now on to the goodies. If you received the kit for this class, this is what you will find in your kit, or something very similar to it. Some folks received the snowman pattern paper, some received the tree pattern paper. All of it is from Paper Rose. Big shout out and thank you to Paper Rose for sponsoring the Paper Escape. It has been great working with you. I'm so glad that you are sponsoring this event, so we appreciate you. And that goes, of course, for all of our sponsors, our amazing sponsors. Can we get some hearts in the chat for the sponsors? I mean, my goodness, they are so generous. So if you do not have the kit, do not fret. Just grab yourself some 12 by 12 paper and trim it down to 12 inches wide by 8 inches long. Okay? So next we have another piece of pattern paper that's 3 inches wide by 4 inches long, and that's going to be our mini card front. We're going to trim that down to fit our card. So 3 inches wide by 4 inches long. Beneath that, I have a piece of acetate that is 3¼ inches wide by 4½ inches long. And I marked the acetate with a little piece of mint tape because I know how easy it is for acetate to get lost because, of course, it is transparent. So we have that saved in there for you as well. We also have a piece of either Christmas red or charcoal black cardstock in the size of 2¾ inches wide by 6 inches long. And here it's at the bottom left of the screen. So 2¾ inches wide, 6 inches long, and that is going to be our mini card. We're going to fold that in half later on. This is Paper Rose cardstock, the solid color, solid core cardstock, and it's very heavyweight. It is phenomenal cardstock. I am blown away. It makes the best card bases. So just, heads up, crafty tip there. Paper Rose has amazing cardstock. Okay, so we also have a little envelope, and within that envelope, we've got a few goodies. Now, these pieces will vary, but everybody has a piece of ephemera from the Holiday Fun collection. It is an embossed die cut piece. And then we also have a sentiment. Again, they're all various and random. You will also have some embellishments, some black sequins, and you will also have a black doily. The black doily is our bonus item that we can bring out on Sunday. So we do not need that piece for this project. Just hang on to it. Do not lose it. Do not use it yet. You will be able to use it on Sunday. So that is our bonus item, a little black doily from Doodlebug Design. We also have a black bow that is already tied for us. Now, I know some of you have some amazing bow making skills out there in the chat, and major props to you. Yours truly is not one of them. So when I found this with the little twist tie on it, that went right in the cart. So I hope you have fun with this one today. Last but not least is a sticker with my contact information. I would love to connect with you on the socials. Okay, let's get into our project for today. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is grab our scoreboard or your trimmer with a scoring attachment. And we are going to grab our large piece of patterned paper that has the die cut in it. Now, again, if you don't have this paper, you just go ahead and grab whatever piece you have. And the first thing you're going to want to do is with the directional paper, if you use directional paper facing the correct way so that you're looking at it like this, you're going to score from the left-hand side 1/2 inch. Now, for those of you who have the kit, I don't want you to do that because I've already done it for you. Like I mentioned earlier, I want to make sure that the kit was able to fit into the bag. So I scored this part for you. So for anybody who does not have this, currently the page would go all the way across. Right now, my page is 11.5, but it would be 12 inches otherwise. So you're going to score at 1/2 inch from the left, and then you're going to fold it over, or flip it over, excuse me. You're going to flip your page over, and then you're going to fold on that line and gently burnish. Okay, so what you will have will end up looking like this. So again, if you have the kit, this step has already been done for you. But if you don't, that's how you do that. Okay, so we're going to start from the 1/2 inch folded over and your piece looking like this. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, And the first thing, if you have the kit, this is the first thing you're going to do, is take the other end of your cardstock, okay, and you're going to kind of roll it up gently and slide it underneath what we're going to call the flap. So this is like a little flap here. So you're going to take it and you're just going to gently roll it up and over and fit it underneath that flap. Now I like using the edge of my score pal here so that I can make sure that it's nice and flush. And I also check the other edge, make sure it is nice and flush on both sides, and that it looks pretty good to me, and that it's also right up against the inside edge of that flap. All right, so we're looking pretty good here. So now all you're going to do is take your bone folder. I like to use the rounded edge for this because I don't want to be too harsh with my paper. So I like to come down and just very gently at first press down so that I'm starting to get that crease going. And then again, just very gently, I'm going to slide it down one way and slide it back the other way. Now we've got it creased, but now I'm going to firm it up just a little bit more with my flat edge. There we go. All right, so now we've got it nice and creased, okay? So you've got one side that looks like this, and the other side that we're still working on looks like this. And you've got a flap here, and you've got a crease on the other side. So next up, with your flap here on the left-hand side still, we are going to score from 1 inch on the right side and 1 inch on the left side. So right now, this should say that it is 5 3/4 inches wide. Okay, so it's the whole thing right now with this flap and with the crease, it should be 5 3/4 inches wide. So being that this is 3/4, I'm just going to look at the next 3/4, and that's going to be where I want to score. So that's my 1 inch mark, the 3/4. Okay, now you're also going to do 1 inch from the other side. Now, of course, you could do 1 inch right here. For me, just for comfort sake, I like to turn it over and do 1 inch from this side again, just because it's easier for me to reach this way. But you certainly could do just 1 inch from this end. But again, I'm going to go from 3/4 to 3/4. So I'm going to do my 1 inch right here. There we go. Okay, so now we've got a 1 inch score from one side, or if you're me, you have a 1 inch and apparently 1 1/8 inch, but 1 inch score from the left, 1 inch score from the right, and that is the scoring that we need to have done. Okay, so now we are going to gently fold in and out on this 1 inch on both sides. So I'm going to fold it both ways. I want to fold it both toward me and away from me. Okay, so we are going to score it, or we scored it at 1 inch from the left and 1 inch from the right. And now I'm folding it both toward me and away from me. And you can just kind of flip this back and forth if you'd like, so that you know exactly that, you know, which way you've done it. That's totally fine. We will flip it back over shortly, but I'm just folding this in. Now you can be kind of gentle with it to get it started, because at first it might be a little resistant because it's again, like I mentioned, it's really nice sturdy cardstock. So it will be perfect for your treat bag because it is going to stand up against the weight of whatever you put in it. But you got to be a little gentle with it at first, and then it will start moving for you. All right, these are going to form the sides of our treat bag. Okay, now I'm going to fold this the other way. Now I just kind of do this back and forth for a little bit just to make sure that I have it nice and sturdy. And I think I'm going to go ahead and use my larger bone folder just to make sure I've got it nice and done here. And we can go back and forth a little bit more later too if we like. But as long as you have this moving both directions, you're good to go. Okay, so I'm going to put my cardstock back the way that we originally had it. Okay, so now what we want to do is rotate our paper here counterclockwise. So rotate it to the left 90 degrees, which is 1 full turn. Okay, so again, our flap here is on the left-hand side. The paper is 5 3/4 inches wide this way. we're going to rotate it to the left or counterclockwise 1 turn, which is 90 degrees. And now our snowmen are facing this way, and the paper is 8 inches wide now if we go this way, okay? And our flap is now at the bottom, okay? So this is how we want it to look now. There's a lot of scoring involved here and some folding, but really the project is quite simple overall. Okay, so we're going to grab our bone folder again. Now that we've turned our project, we're going to do 2 more score lines. We're going to score at 1 1/4, and we're going to score at 2 1/4 from the left-hand side. So that's why we want to make sure that our flap is at the bottom, and we are going to score at 1 1/4 and at 2 1/4. Okay, so here's the 1 1/4 score mark. Just going to go straight down here. 1 1/4, and be careful when you're going over that flap. You just, like I said, with everything here, you just kind of want to do it gently. So we're going over that score line and over that flap. That's our 1 1/4. You know what? I did it again. Let me switch my bone folders on this one. All right, this one just gets a sharper crease, which makes sense because this is the one that comes with the score pal. So they knew what they were doing when they put this together, didn't they? All right, so there's 1 1/4. And then here is my 2 1/4. 2 1/4, here we go. All right, and then for those of you who have the smaller score buddy, which I also have, let me grab here. If you are trying to score something that's longer, what I recommend doing is just either flipping your item or your paper so that you can do both sides. Like in this case, we're doing 1 1/4 and 2 1/4, which we have on here. But if you were scoring something longer, then it's easy to kind of take it and then maybe flip it so that you can once again do this side and this side or whatever you need to do. But if you just kind of flip your paper, you can still use your score buddy and it should be fine. Okay, so our paper currently looks like this. And again, we scored at 1 1/4 and we went gently over that flap as well. And then 2 1/4 and still over that flap, okay? Now, we are not folding and burnishing this yet, okay? So we're just scoring 1 1/4, 2 1/4, scoring, and that's it. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is now from the right side of our cardstock, which is at 8 inches, we're gonna score in 1/2 inch. So we're technically going to score this at the 7.5 inch mark. Now, this is what I was talking about just now with the score buddy. We don't have an 8 inch mark on the score buddy. It only goes to 7 inches. So if you flip this over, now you know that this is the side that you would have been scoring on were it long enough. So you're just going to go to the 1/2 inch mark and you're going to score it there. Okay? So your flap will be at the top if you're using the score buddy, and it will just be at 1/2 inch all the way down, okay? All right. Let me know in the chat how we're doing with this. How do we feel about scoring? Are we comfortable with this? Is it going well for us? I would love to know how you are doing. And of course, I'm in the chat currently, so feel free to ask me any questions. I am happy to help you out. Whatever you need, I am here for you. Okay, so again, 1/2 inch from the right side for those of us whose flap is at the bottom. All right, so I'm going to score right here. And again, you're going to go gently over where your flap is. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. Okay, I like to do it just a few times, just reinforcing that score line so that it's easier for me to then come back and fold. Okay, so now we have scored the majority of the areas that we need to worry about. And again, we didn't burnish anything. We didn't fold anything yet. We just did our score line. So one more time, we scored at 1 1/4, 2 1/4, 7.5. Okay? All right. So now we can turn the project upright again, and we're going to unfold it so that our focal image, which in this case are the snowmen, are going to be facing down. Okay, now I can move my score pal out of the way. And we're going to open this up so that our focal image is facing down. Okay, That's what we're going to start with. Or not start with, we've already started, but that's what we're going to do. Okay, so now that we have this open and the snowmen are facing down, we're going to grab our 1/4 inch double-sided adhesive tape, okay? So some of you might be able to just tear your tape, some might need to cut it, whatever works for you, no problem at all. What we're going to do is get our acetate piece, that is the see-through piece that has that little bit of mint tape on it to try to help us make sure that we can see it, because it can be really hard to find the acetate in a kit sometimes. Ask me how I know. So I made sure to put that little piece of acetate there just to help us find it whenever it's sitting around. Okay, so what we're going to be doing here is actually getting this acetate on top of our tree. So what we need to do is get some of this 1/4 inch tape put along the edges of our tree. So we are going to start by putting some tape down first, right here along this edge. And notice I'm doing it close up to the tree because I want to make sure that I am sealing in all of these areas. So I'm doing it right up against the tree here. There's some there. Now you can kind of take your acetate, move it back and forth, make sure that you are getting the different areas that you want to cover. And if you aren't using this tree cutout, then you definitely want to make sure you're figuring out where the acetate goes, because you don't want any of your tape to be outside of the acetate, because then it will stick to whatever's in your bag, or it'll stick to the back side of your paper. So you want to make sure that the acetate is, that the double-sided adhesive is only going to stick to the acetate. And of course, you don't want it to go through this side, because then you'll have the same problem, but in a different capacity. All right, so we're going to take some more of our double-sided adhesive here. Put some down at the bottom. Now, you notice that one's a little bit long, so before I stick it down all the way, I'm just going to double check, make sure that it's okay to, yeah, it's okay to do that. It's on the cusp there, though. So, you know what, actually, just to be safe, I'm going to cut that little piece off just at the edge there. There we go. And that way I know that it's not going to get in the way. I'm a little paranoid about that, so that's why I'm telling you just to keep an eye on it, make sure that you're comfortable with where it is. Okay, and then I need another little piece to put on the other side of my tree trunk here. So we want to make sure that we've got at least these 4 pieces down. So this is essentially the top and the bottom of our tree. Now I'm going to also put it in a few other spots. So again, keep your acetate handy so that you can kind of keep adding it to the back here, so you can see where you might need some more tape. So I think I'm going to add some tape to the edges here, and then maybe a couple more pieces down here. And then I think I'm okay at the bottom. I'm comfortable with the bottom where it's at, but I think that's what I'm going to do as far as those go. So let me add a couple more pieces here. So you just add whatever tape makes you feel comfortable that you've got this nice and secure. All right, and while we work on this, I just want to say thank you again so much for joining us today. I am so excited to take the classes along with you. We have so many amazing instructors, and they're just so talented and really creative and have so much inspiration. So I can't wait to see what you all make. And I really hope that you will make this project and share in the Paper Escape group. You should have gotten an invitation to join the Facebook group. So hopefully you did and are able to share. Please tag me if you did. I really would love to see your versions of this. And you can certainly make this your own, however you would like. And by all means, I'm excited to see what all you can do with it. So this is one of those projects that is highly customizable and will fit whatever occasion you need it to fit. Okay, I think I'm good with that. I think I'm good with how that looks. Okay, so now I'm going to remove the adhesive backers, and I am using my Trinity Stamps Pokey Tool here. Trinity is another very generous sponsor of the Paper Escape and another fabulous company that I'm very honored and thrilled to be affiliated with. All right, so let's go ahead and move the backer. This is by hands down my favorite pokey tool of all of them. This is just, oh, this is the best. Especially when you're trying to add your embellishments, and then when you're doing something like this is phenomenal. It just makes it so easy. Because I don't want to ruin the mani. I worked on that. And by worked on that, I mean I paid somebody to do that. So, they worked on it and I want to respect their effort. All right, there we go. So now I can just line this up. And remember, we want to make sure that we don't have any exposed adhesive, because if we do, it's not going to, it's going to end up sticking somewhere we don't want it to stick. So as long as we are covering our center area here fully, and we've got the adhesive around it, we should be golden. All right. Now you might need to take a little cloth and clean this off, because once you get some fingerprints on it and things like that, and that's okay. It'll be fine, but sometimes you might want to do that. So that can be something that happens. It's okay. It's okay. All right. So the acetate is on, and now we have a window, and this is a peekaboo window because you can peek at what's inside of your gift bag. Hence the peekaboo. Okay, let me throw away some of this tape backer. All right, moving right along. The next thing we're going to do is, again, with our adhesive, we are going to take a long strip this time. I like to kind of turn it this way just to help me out. And we are going to put this adhesive on the outside of our 1/2 inch flap. So this was the very first step where we had a 1/2 inch scored and folded in. This is what I'm calling the outside, because this will be the outside of our bag, and this is the inside of our bag. So on the outside flap, we're going to put this 1/4 inch adhesive. And I like to kind of put it a little bit closer to the edge as opposed to the middle. Although this one seems to have kind of stuck to the middle a little more closely, and that's fine. It's no big deal. It's just personal preference. I like to kind of put things, I like to live on the edge. That's what it is. I just like to live on the edge. All right, I'm going to cut that little tiny piece off. All right, so I put that whole strip all the way down, okay? And I'm going to take my bone folder and make sure that it's nice and secure. So I'm just gently pressing, because I want to make sure that that tape is not going anywhere, which I'm pretty sure it's not, but just in case. All right, so now what we're going to do is take off this backer. I'm going to use my pokey tool again and take off this backer strip. Now what you can do, if you are worried about where it's going to land, this is a little trick. You can just kind of take an edge and fold it over. And now what we're going to do is take this, and I like to make sure that it's still nice and flat and nice and straight. I'm holding in my flap here. Now notice I'm not opening this up. I'm not opening this up like this. This piece is going to fold over right on top. So you could do it either this way, or you could take the piece and bring it to it. Either way works as long as you're comfortable with it. I think this time I'm going to go ahead and take it this way. So for me, I'm going to close it like a book. And I'm keeping this nice and steady. And I'm just laying my one piece against the other. Now I'm making sure as I press this down that I've got my edges aligned, and they are. So now that I've got this little piece up here, obviously the rest of it isn't sticking because the backer is still here. So now that I've got this little flap hanging off the side, I can just release that. And as I release it, I'm running my finger down and securing. And now it's secure. That's all we had to do. And now I'm going to take my bone folder again and press once more. Okay, so now what we have here is what I'm calling a back side and a front side. Of our project. This is the front. It's got the tree cut out, and then the back does not. Now, I neglected to mention, and my apologies, for anyone who is making this on your own, the cutout portion, you wanted to just, whatever image you want to use, and generally it's good to use one that doesn't have a lot of lines in the middle of it. A good shape, whether you want to do a circle or a rectangle or a snowflake or a paw print, whatever works for you. You just want to make sure that you do that before you do this sealing step. We don't want to seal it up. And of course, before you put the acetate, because you have to cut the paper out first. So you want to cut your paper after you've done the scoring, but not folding. So you've scored and you have it laying open. Identify where you want to put it on that piece that's on this side, because we had it open like this. So you're going to cut it off of this side. And then this is going to be your front and this is going to be your back. Okay. And I realized I should have mentioned that earlier. I do apologize. If that doesn't quite make sense, let me know in the comments and I will be very, very happy to walk you through how to do this cutout. But again, you can use any shape you want. I use a paper rose tree collection that I really like for Christmas trees. But you can use any shape as long as it's within the parameters and within the little rectangle that ends up being inside of the scored area. So I don't know if you can quite see that, but this was the 1/2 inch that we scored at the top. And down here was our 1 1/4 score line and our 2 1/4 score line. And then these were the two 1-inch score lines from the side. So what we end up doing is having this space right inside, and that is where you can do your die cut. Okay. So you just want to make sure that you have enough space here at the top, because this is going to fold down and be our closure. And you want to make sure you've got enough space here to then be able to punch your holes. So wherever within this space, giving yourself at least a 3/4 inch from that score line, you can put your die cut there and cut out any shape you like. Okay, and then your acetate, just make sure it's a little bit larger than that die cut area and you are good to go. Okay, so once again, we have a back side and a front side. Now on our back side, we are going to take that score line at the bottom that we did, and we're going to fold up on the 2 1/4 inch score line. So remember, we have 1 1/4 and we have 2 1/4. We're gonna fold up on the 2 1/4 line. Now, it could just be a matter of folding up like this, but if it's more comfortable for you, like it is for me, I like to kind of turn it and do it this way. Now I press it up first just to kind of get it used to that folding motion before I actually fold. And then once I feel it stopping the resistance, then I'm going to be able to fold it up. Okay. All right. And now we can gently burnish. And I say gently because we don't want to crack the paper in any way. And depending on the thickness of your paper, it could be prone to cracking if it is a little bit on the thick side, or it could tear if it's too thin. So paper rose has a perfect cardstock weight for this project, but I still want to be cautious. All right, so if you fold it up, now we've got this piece folded up like this. All right. So our next step, this next step here is where things can get a little bit dicey. So I'm going to show you very, very slowly how to do this part. It might seem confusing at first, but I assure you it's really quite simple once you kind of think about how this works. So what we're going to do, we're going to turn this a little bit. Now, these are the corners of our fold here, right? So it's got like a little mouth going. So yeah. So these are the corners that I'm going to be referring to. So what we're going to do here, it helps if you start by kind of opening this little flap here, and starting with just one corner, I'm going to take my bone folder and kind of get it in there so that the edge here is nice and kind of popped out. Okay, so it's nice and popped out. And then what I'm going to do is take this center score line that I have left over here. It's the center score line. And I'm going to very gently push that toward the inside score line where we folded up. We're going to make this score line parallel with that inner line. So again, I'm doing this very gently, and you might need to take either your finger or your bone folder and make sure that this section right here is popping out. And we're just very, very gently pressing in toward that center line. Okay? And then we are going to, again, gently, because we don't want to tear anything, we're going to press down on either side. Okay? So now we have one full triangle and then a couple of little triangles mixed in, shapes within our score lines and the folded papers. Okay, so that's one side done. Now let's repeat it so that you can see again what it is that I'm doing here. Okay, now I noticed that oh, you know what? I think I have a little bit of adhesive backer on here. Oh, I sure did. Look at that. Okay, make sure that your backer is off and that your piece is fully taped up. There we go. Okay, so now one more time. This is the corner, just like that was the corner on the other side. This was the corner. We are going to be taking the corner. We're going to make sure that our bone folder is popping out. You see how that just did that? How this might be pushed in? So I'm going to take my bone folder and make sure that it's popped out. I want to make sure that I give it plenty of space to be able to fold in. And this is the line that we are folding in toward. This is our fold line, our 2 1/4 inch fold line. That's where we're folding in. All right, so once again, we're going to take that corner piece and we're going to line it up with the center. And I'm going to continue to push toward the inside edge, inside corner, to make sure that it stays nice and flat. All right, now I'm going to fold that down. And again, I'm lining it up with that inner fold and inner score line and press gently. Okay. This is forming the bottom of our bag. And this is how we take a flat piece of paper and make it into something that can actually hold other things. It's giving it a bottom. All right. This might start to look maybe like a paper bag that you see at the grocery store or something like that. This is exactly how these are made. Okay, so now we have taken our 2 corners and folded them in. So we should be good as far as that goes. All right, and again, if you have any questions with this, by all means, ask me in the chat. I know we did it slowly, but it can still be confusing, and I completely understand if you were like, wait a minute, what are you doing, Irene? This makes no sense. We will go over it again. And if you need me to, I can send you a little video on how to do it separately. We can, whatever you need to do to help you make sense of this part. This was the hard part though. So yay, give yourself a round of applause. Round of applause. The hard part is done. That was the tricky part. Okay, so now what we're going to do is add some more adhesive. So we can turn this to face us again, and I'm still working on the back side. So now we're going to grab our 1/4 inch adhesive again, and we're going to just grab a couple of little strips. So what we want to do is take these top little triangles here. Now, and I say triangles because that's what this forms. This little triangle here, this little triangle here, okay? And what we're going to do is just put some tape right along the edge of that triangle. Okay, we're going to put one piece there. We're going to put one piece right over here, again along the edge. Okay, and now we can release that tape, get the backer off of there. Get that off of the other side. Okay, and now we can take this and fold it in. So that tape is only on the inside of that triangle. And now our first flap is done. Okay, so I'm going to burnish that again just a little bit. All right, now what we can do is take some more tape. We're going to take the same concept, but this time we are going to do one extra piece. So we'll start with the extra piece, and that is going to go on the very, very edge of the bottom flap here. So I'm just going to put it right along the edge of that bottom flap. Okay, just like that. And then I'm going to take my 2 little pieces like we did on the top, little triangle pieces, but this time we're working on these little triangles where my thumbs are here. So we've got this little triangle piece and this little triangle piece. And we're going to do the same thing that we did with the other side. We're going to put our 1/4 inch adhesive down. Now I made that piece is a little too small, so I'm going to grab another one. Make sure it goes all the way across. But notice I'm being very careful not to get it anywhere else. I'm just keeping it on that edge there. Okay, grab one more piece and do the other side. Here we go. Put it right along this edge. Perfect. Okay. How are we feeling about this so far? Are we proud of ourselves for what is turning into a bag? First time I did this, I was in shock. So I know the excitement of making your own bag is palpable. It's real. All right, so let's go ahead and get that backer off. All right, while I do this, I am curious for anyone else who is following along, have you ever made a bag like this before? Or something similar to this where you are able to make your own gift bag? I mean, a lot of us are card makers and scrapbookers and things like that. And so we're not unfamiliar with paper crafts, but doing something like this is a little out of my wheelhouse, but that's exactly why I wanted to do it, because it's just different and it's really fun. So I am grateful to the Paper Escape for giving me the opportunity to do something fun like this with you. All right, so now I am going to take this piece. So I released the backer and I am just folding it in. Now, remember, we have that adhesive all the way on the edge because it's going to overlap right here. Okay, so the piece that we've already taped down is going to be the underneath this piece. This one's going to go on top, and we are going to just gently fold that right over and secure it down. Okay, and that now is on top of our other piece. Okay, and I'm going to burnish one more time. Okay, so let's go ahead and burnish that down some more. All right, so now you have the bottom of your bag, and that's what it looks like, just the bottom by itself. Isn't that neat? I just think it's so much fun. All right, so now that we've got that nice and taped up, what you're going to do with your hand is just very, very gently, again, gently is the key word here for this entire project. We're very gently going to put our hand into the bag and open it up. So you can just kind of feel where the different edges of it are, the different sides, and you're just going to gently open it. Oh, isn't that cool? Look at that. You have made a bag. I just think this is fascinating. Now, what we're going to do from there is lightly crease any new lines that we've made. And that means the lines here, we're going to press in very, very carefully. And this now is a new line. So we're going to kind of pinch a little bit. That's what I like to pinch it rather than, press it or anything, because I feel like pinching it kind of gives it that line without stressing it out too much. All right, and then this I'm also going to push in just a little bit. And this is why we did that back and forth motion at the 1 inch mark, because we wanted to make sure that these were able to then go in. Okay, so we are pushing those in very carefully. And I find that it's easier to kind of get it started at the top and then work our way toward the bottom. And as long as you're still being careful, you can actually get this toward the bottom here. If you press it in a little bit, you can then make it to where it is folded in like a paper bag like that. Okay? So you can press it as much or as little as you'd like. And kind of get some of that excess stuff off of my acetate. All right, so then this is basically what our bag looks like, and this is how you've got it put together here. Okay, and as long as you are careful when you're working those different folds, you can actually lay it pretty decently flat. Okay, maybe not entirely flat, but pretty flat. So if you need to mail this somewhere, you can. This makes an excellent an excellent item to sell at craft fairs too. So for those of you who are interested in doing something like that, this is a great project for that because you can fill it with anything and it's a ready to go gift. All right, so that is that part. Now we are going to take this. Remember, we still have that 1/2 inch score mark. So we're going to take that 1/2 inch score mark, and now we're going to, that's why I kind of did this part first so I can put my hand on it. I'm going to take this and fold it toward the back of the bag. Okay, so I'm folding it toward the back of the bag here. All right, let's get this down. And just like the rest of it, I like to kind of work that paper a little bit, make sure that it's nice and malleable. So sometimes you might want to work it the other way too, just a little bit, just to kind of get it going. All right. And then, well, you know what I'm going to do with the rounded edge? I'm going to just burnish that down. Okay. So you could, of course, leave it just like that. That could be your closure because it stays just fine like that. But what I'm going to do is actually punch some holes in this so that we can then do our twist tie bow. All right, so you can kind of eyeball this if you'd like. You can measure if you'd like. I wouldn't do more than, say, maybe 1 inch apart. So if I'm using my scoreboard or my glass board here, shout out to Glassboard, another Paper Escape sponsor. Thank you so much. They did something amazing for us. So I would maybe do just on the other side of 1 inch. Okay. So you want to make sure that you are down far enough to where you're not going to cut through the edge here. But the way the paper folds in the back, you also want to make sure that you're capturing both sides of it. So what I like to do is just kind of, like I said, I just kind of eyeball it. I go down just a little bit to make sure I'm not catching the edge there. So you can see where my, the puncher, I guess, is. It's not on the lip of the bag, but it's also leaving some space on the back here. So it's easier for me if I just kind of eyeball either side of my tree here. So now what I'm doing, because this is very thick, I am just kind of pressing without punching all the way through. I'm just pressing down. Now, you heard the little bit of a click, so it pressed a little bit, but essentially I am just marking for myself where I want it to go because this is thick paper. So it's going to be a little bit tricky to get it to punch all the way through unless you've got one of those heavy duty ones. So I do not. This is just a little cheap one, but I am going to do it on either side of my tree. And again, I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I'm going to call that pretty good right there. And doing the same thing again. I popped it. And the reason I'm not going all the way through again is because my paper is thick, but also because now what I can do is open this up. Okay, so I can open it up and actually do it again because now with that hole in place here, I can actually take my hole punch and fit that puncher right into that hole. And that way I know that when I do punch now, it's going to go exactly where I wanted it to go. All right, so one more time, I'm just fitting this in, finding that hole, slipping the little puncher part into the hole that I made from when I pressed into it, and I'm just going to punch it. Now, remember, we need to punch through the front piece and our folded over piece. So we also need to punch this right here. So both sides. There's one punch, and this is the last one right about here. Okay. So now they might be just a little bit off, but it's okay. It'll be just fine. And if it is a little bit off, of course, you can also take this right back through and do it again to make sure that you're comfortable with how it looks. So you can punch it one more time, and that way you are good to go with how it matches up. Okay? Let's see. There we go. So it's just a little bit of finagling if you don't have the double hole punch, or if you don't have a heavy duty punch, or if you need to use a circle die, you can certainly do that as well. You can do just one hole if you want and put a little twist tie through it. You could also just tape some ribbon here, maybe underneath the flap, and fold it down and then wrap around the front and tie it. Lots of different options you can do. I just, for our purposes, I really liked doing this ribbon bow here with the twist tie. So for that reason, now you can just slip your twist tie right through there. I kind of like to line it up, make sure that it's relatively in the center. I hold my bow in place, and then with my other hand, I'm going to take these, kind of pull them a little bit taut toward the center. You can also push this down if you, or place it down, I should say. And then, like I said, pull these a little bit taut toward the center, and then just twist. Because as you twist them, they are nice and tight. Now, of course, what I didn't mention, and I maybe should have, is you want to make sure that it's filled with something first, because that would be, you know, ideal. It'd be kind of weird to give somebody a gift bag like, here is a bag of air just for you. So you want to make sure that you've got whatever it is that you want in it before you go ahead and close it up. But just to show you how to do it, that is the process. Now, the actual finished project, so this is our little snowman here. This is the finished project. Now, this one you may have seen in the photos of our class. It's the same concept here. The tree cutout, this is the tree paper, so you might have the tree paper in your kit. I filled this up with some delicious Lindor chocolate, milk chocolate truffles. And this is the little bag itself, okay? So this, you can put anything in it that we like, and it makes another adorable little gift bag. Now, like I mentioned earlier, you could, of course, put any kind of item in here, and you can cut out any shape, like I did here. This is a very cute little doggy gift bag. So my puppy, I have a corgi, which, there you go. So my little corgi Oliver goes to daycare. So he is going to gift this to his friends at daycare. It's full of doggy biscuits, and I know that they will all have a great time enjoying these little pumpkin doggy biscuits. So this is a kind of a thank you to the folks who care for him. And this is another thing that you can do with this. Now, I used a paw print cutout here and a different kind of bow. But yeah, it's just a paw print cutout, and I made a little doggy bag, basically a doggy bag, gift bag to say thank you. So you can do any kind of thing with this bag. It is super versatile, and it has a lot of options to it. Okay, so now you might be done with this just as it is, and that's totally fine. But maybe you want to add a matching card to go with it to say thank you. And also, here's a card to explain why I'm giving you this. So let's go on to our card. So I'm going to grab my trimmer, and I'm going to grab my piece of cardstock that is 2 3/4 inches wide by 6 inches long. Set that aside. And then I'm going to grab my Holiday Fun paper that is 3 inches wide by 4 inches long. Now, this is going to make the front of our mini card. So what we want to do with this, because if you notice, it's bigger than what our mini card is going to be. So what we need to do is trim this down to 2 5/8 inch wide by 2 7/8 inch long. Okay, 2 5/8 wide, 2 7/8 long. Now, I gave this to you full size though, so that you could decide where you wanted to cut it, which parts of your image you wanted to keep. So you notice this is the other side of the Christmas tree paper. So again, Paper Rose, shout out, because wow, their papers are so well thought out. Okay, so 2 5/8 by 2 7/8. So I am going to trim off, I think, some of my sky, at least a little bit of my sky. So I'm going to trim off. Right now, I'm not looking at anything in particular. I'm just making sure that I'm not going to go beyond my 2 7/8. All right, so there's that. Right now, I'm still at 3.5, so I've got more I can cut off for sure. All right, so I'm gonna cut off more of my tree, and then some more of my hill. So I'm looking here. There's my 2-inch mark. There's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so my 7/8 is right there. So I'm going to trim that right there. So now I've still got some of my hill, I've got some of my tree, some of my sky, and so on. All right, so my 2 7/8 is done, and now I need 2 5/8. So I'm going to trim off some of this side. So I need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, that doesn't seem right. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. 5. So 5 is right there. So I'm going to trim off that. And then, you know what, maybe I'll just, I kind of like this little weather vane up here. I think it's a weather vane. So maybe I'll leave that, or maybe I'll just trim down just a hair. Let's see. So 2 5/8. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is right there. So I'm kind of just judging how much of this would come off, and am I okay with that? Now, you know what? I think I'm going to take it off of this side. Yeah, I think I'm going to take it off of this side. And now, just to give you my thought process on this, my card base is red, so I'm going to cut this off because the edge would be red on red. If I cut this off, then I've got black and black on red. So I think that's going to just look better. That's my thought process on where I'm choosing to cut this down. So one more time, let me count it out. Again, math is hard, folks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8. Okay. So I counted my 5 tick marks there. And there's my 5/8 inch mark. And I'm cut. All right. So my 2 5/8 by 2 7/8 piece is nice and cut. All right. So I can move that out of the way. I'm done with the trimmer. And now I just need my scoreboard. So I'm going to grab my mini now, my score buddy. And we're grabbing our cardstock base here. This is our mini base. And this is, again, 2 3/4 inches wide by 6 inches long. I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to score it at the 3-inch mark. Okay, so 3 inches on the long side. Scoring it right in the center of the long side, because this is going to make, it could be a top folding card, it could be a side fold, whatever you prefer. I like doing top folds, so that's what mine is going to be. And then I'm going to just fold and burnish. This is the easiest part of this entire project. We're just making a quick little mini card to complement our gift bag. The gift bag was the hard part, and we are done with that. Okay, so now we've got this cut. Look how cute that is. It fits right on top of our card front. Isn't that adorable? I just love this so much. And for those of you who have the kit, isn't this cardstock phenomenal? It's so weighty. Please check it out. If you are a lover of thick cardstock, thick solid core cardstock like I am, especially for card bases, you got to check out Paper Rose. Their cardstock is phenomenal. All right, so now I'm going to take some more of my tape. You can use liquid adhesive too if you prefer. That would be totally fine, but since I have this handy, I'm just going to use this. And I am going to put down some tape and adhere it to my card base. All right, so let's go ahead and add this down. Have you ever made a mini card before? I am not super familiar with different sizes. I tend to make A2 cards, but I really had fun making this size, and it's custom and fits perfectly with this card project. And I'll show you what I mean in a moment, but it is a really good size specifically for this card project. And here I go, trying to use my fingernails again. My poor manicure. I don't know how long it's going to last. All right, let's go ahead and, come on, peel it off. There we go. Okay, let's get this backer off here. And do one more. Oh my goodness, it is fighting me now. Come on. There we go. All right. So now I'm just going to eyeball this and line it up very carefully and give it a nice little red border all the way around. Okay, see if you can see what I'm doing. All right. Oop, I have it a little too far over. Let me see if I can move it. I might not be able. Oh no, can I? Yes, I can. Okay, I can still move it just a wee bit. We'll put it down right about here. That's the only thing with the tape runner. The liquid glue gives you a little bit of float time, and you don't quite have that with tape. Although I guess you do because I just did it, huh? All right, there we go. Now the card front is on. Okay, so now what you can do before we go any further, the piece that I forgot to put in your kit, again, I'm so sorry. This is the 2.5 inch wide by 2 3/4 inch long piece of white cardstock or light colored cardstock that I asked you to grab. I'm going to take my adhesive again, and I'm just going to put a quick piece right in the center diagonally. I like to do it this way. I don't feel like you need all kinds of stuff on the inside. So just a piece that holds it in place should suffice. Oh my gosh, I keep doing it with my nails. What the heck? All right, let's get this off. There we go. All right, and I'm going to just place this right down in the center. Give me 1 second here. And I'm just lining it up, giving it, again, a nice red border. And there we go. There we go. Cute, huh? Now you could stop there if you wanted to. Just something simple like this is perfectly okay with this project. But if you want to step it up a little bit more, that's where you want to grab your ephemera and your sentiment, which I have now misplaced. Where is my sentiment? Oh, there we go. Okay, I knew it was around here somewhere. And of course, also your embellishments. So I'm going to grab some of these here. Oh my goodness, they're sticking to me. I like to do an odd number of embellishments, and because it's a small card, I don't know that we need a lot. So on my sample piece, I just did 3 little silver pieces, and I feel like 3 pieces of embellishments are probably sufficient. Now, your ephemera pieces, some of you might have some larger scale pieces, some might have some smaller scale. This one is a little bit larger, and I know there's some that are like gift boxes that are on a larger side. So feel free to place it wherever you like. You can cover up part of your image. You can let it hang out. You can move it off to the side. You can have it peeking in from the side. Whatever works for you. I'm thinking I might cover up that house possibly and leave these 3 showing. And I might just bring my snowman kind of down like that. And then I will trim him off the side, I think. I think that's what I'd like to do. Or you could always put him in the center, put your ephemera in the center, whatever works for you, truly. And then, of course, your sentiment, I left some of them, most of them I left on the long side so that you could decide where you want to trim it and where you would like to place it. It all depends on where your ephemera goes and what looks best for you. So I'm going to, I think, just set him down over here. And this is where I'm going to use a little bit of foam tape. Just a little bit, nothing too crazy. Just a little piece to get him some dimension. All right. And I think I am going to let him hang off the edge. So I think he's just going to go maybe right about here. So I think we just need kind of a piece going right down the center, and that should really suffice. All right, let me cut that off. All right, and then just to make it a little more firm, I'm going to cut just a little strip over the side here to put down along this edge. Okay, so it's going to be right about there. All right, and then I can take off my backer. I'm hanging on to this little piece of foam tape just in case I decide to do something else with it. All right, and then I'm going to place him right about here, I think. Yeah, I like him there. All right. So like I said, you can let it hang off the side or whatever works best for you. So with that being the case, I did let him hang off the side. So now I'm just going to trim off the excess. Just right off the edge there. And then I'm going to trim off this side. But I think I'm going to leave his hat. I'm just going to leave his hat there at the top. I think it would be okay. We'll see. We'll test it in a moment and see how that worked out. But yeah, so he's just kind of peeking in from the side here. All right, and then my sentiment, I think we're just going to kind of put maybe right under here, I think. So I'm going to just trim this down like this. And I'm leaving a little bit on this side because I want to tuck it underneath my snowman. So I think I'm going to tuck it just under there, or maybe just under here. We'll see. And then this edge, I think I'm going to cut mine at a diagonal on this one, just for a little bit of more interest there. Okay, and then I can do some more foam on this one, just like that. Put it on the back here. All right, ooh. Okay, well, I'll try to put it actually on the back, not crooked and sideways. Come on, there we go. Okay, and then I'll do one more piece across. I'm going to cut this one down a little bit more too. Okay, I'm kind of cutting these down to nothing, but yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It is so skinny. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I kind of made that one a little funny, but it's fine. All right, I'm going to, oh, here we go. Okay, Irene, come on, get it together. Do you ever talk to yourself too while you're crafting, or is that just me? All right, here we go. Here we go. Okay. And now I'm going to just slide that right underneath there. Oh, maybe I should have done I maybe should have done a lower loft, but it should still be fine. Yeah, it'll be fine. All right, so I can take off the backer. And then I can just add some liquid adhesive. This is with the float time. I think it'll help with the liquid adhesive. Oops, it just kind of came out a little strong there. Let me get some of that off. I don't want it to squish out everywhere. Okay. And now, oh, okay. We're batting 1,000, aren't we? Come on. Okay, you know what? Maybe I should be smarter than the paper and use my tweezers. Sometimes you gotta outsmart your crafts because they tend to have a little bit of a one-up on me sometimes. All right, let's slide that right underneath there. Maybe right about here or down here. Where do we like it? We'll leave it right about here. All right, come on, buddy. Come on in there. There you go. All right, so I slid it underneath. I'm gonna make sure my sentiment is nice and straight. There we go. It just says, "Here comes Santa." And then I'm going to take my little embellishments and my Trinity pickup tool, and I'm going to put my embellishments down. And like I mentioned, I think I'm just going to stick with 3. I like 3 when it comes to small cards like this. Oops. All right. I sometimes like to tuck one under, but I think in this case, I'm just going to let it sit out like that. All right, so let's go ahead and add this in. There's one little piece there. One more little piece there. And one more here. And there we go. Huh. It's fun. And it's cute. And I'm happy. How about you? How do you feel? You just made a mini card. Isn't this the cutest? I love this. It's so, so cute. Okay, let me move this stuff out of the way here. Now, off camera, I went ahead and filled our little gift bag with double stuffed Oreos. Now, why did I do double stuffed Oreos? Because I'm not a monster. If I'm going to give my friends a gift, it is going to be doubly stuffed. So they have all of the good stuff in here. So these, I'm just kidding. Double stuff, single stuff, whatever works for you. But for me, I love the double stuffed Oreos. So those are in my little gift bag here, and I filled it up. Now, one thing I wanted to show you, part of the reason why we have these edge or the sides like this that are kind of V'd in is because they might also bow out based on how full your bag is. So these, I think they're called gussets, I want to say. They give your gift bag some space to grow if needed. So that's what I did here. And on this side, it puffed out a bit. So I could press it back in, but I don't want to fight with it because it needed that space, and that's why it used it. This side, it's a little thin still, so it's fine. But this goes to show you, you can also use this to give out, maybe little homemade gifts, homemade cookies, for instance, at the holidays. So I would maybe line it with something if you wanted to go that route, just to keep like a baggie or something safe on the inside. But either way, it's still good to go. Now, on the back here is one potential place to put your little gift card. So we've got our matching envelope here, and it's got a piece of tape that you can just take off to seal it. So our envelope, or our card, I should say, fits right inside. And then you can seal it up. And if you want just a little piece of adhesive there, stick it right on the back. Or you can flip it over if you'd like, so that they can just open it this way and pull out the card. Or, of course, you can just prevent, what am I saying? You can provide it with your gift. And then, of course, they can just have it together because they coordinate beautifully. They're part of the same set and they are good to go. So this is it, friends. This is our project. I cannot wait to see what you've made. I cannot wait to see what papers you've chosen if you didn't have the kit available. You also could, of course, order this from Paper Rose. Again, thank you to Paper Rose for being our sponsor. They are phenomenal. So thank you again so very much for being with us today and for having fun with this project and for giving us a try with the Paper Escape. I'm so glad that you did. I hope you've had as much fun doing these projects as I've had sharing them with you. So please, again, tag us, let us know what you think of this project and share what you've made. We cannot wait to see. So coming up next, we have Stacy's class, and Stacy is going to show you how to make some foiled cards the easy way, the very easy way. So you're going to have an amazing time. I guarantee it. Stick around for Stacy's class and enjoy your foiled cards coming up next. And then, of course, there's even more classes coming tomorrow. So make sure you come back and join us tomorrow for even more fun. There's 4 more classes tomorrow. And then for those who have the bonus ticket, we will see you on Sunday for lots of Sunday fun. So thank you again so very much. I wish you all the absolute best and a very happy holiday season. Thanks, friends. Take care. Bye.
Grab your scissors, grab your glue. It's a crafty dream come true. For fun days of laughs and flair, we've got paper magic in the air. Fun folds, foil in color and shine. Tags and boxes that look so fine. From spooky folds to poinsettia art.
That's a wrap for today, friends. Let's give another big thank you to our incredibly talented instructors and amazingly generous sponsors. Thank you so much for catching us either live or on the replay. Don't forget to share your mix with us in the Paper Escape Facebook group, and you can catch the replay at any time on the Paper Escape YouTube channel. And don't forget to tune in live to see if you won a prize from this amazing 4-day crafty retreat. Let's do this again next year, friends. Hope to see you at the next Paper Escape.
With friends, old and new, craft along, we're live with you. Classes, workshops, crafty cheer. The best retreat of the whole dang year. It's the Paper Escape. Let's create and celebrate. Stamp and sparkle, learn and play. Inspirations on the way. Ink it, blend it, share your makes. Add your twist and show us your take. Jump on in, it's your time to shine at the Paper Escape, where we craft and unwind. It's the Paper Escape. Let's create and celebrate. Stamp and sparkle, learn and play. Inspirations on the way. Ink it, blend it, share your mix. Add your twist and show us your take. Jump on in, it's your time to shine at the Paper Escape, where we craft and unwind. Where we craft and unwind. It's the Paper Escape. It's where we craft and unwind.